Good Thursday morning to you. This is 97.5, The Fanatic Midday Show. I am not Bob. I am Kevin Cooney, along with my partner, D. Lynham. How are you, D?
I'm doing just perfect. Thank you.
Bob enjoying a day off out at the Michael Barkley golf tournament, I believe. Good morning, Ray.
French Creek, if I'm not mistaken.
Good morning. They didn't tell me anywhere where they were going.
No?
I knew they were golfing. That's all I got today.
No?
Nope.
I'll tell you what, it's a strange day to be out golfing because of the idea of it's going to be 100 degrees. It's going to be...
I have to tell you, I played yesterday. Wasn't bad.
Wasn't bad?
The air moved.
Well...
But I told Hallie I did something that I've never done. Maybe this is the reason I found it not to be too bad. I put ice in my hat on top of my head. And somebody said, well, wouldn't it just drip down? No, it was that hot that it almost evaporates.
That was almost like Gray when you played baseball or something. Did you get told to do like the thing of lettuce in your hat?
Oh, I never got lettuce, no. But the ice trick I've done before.
The ice, it totally
great.
Changes the temperature of your body, your whole body.
Yes.
Normally it's the lettuce in the front like area here that they used to say would like take the heat and absorb the heat.
I don't want lettuce on my head.
I know. It's a little weird.
The ice is just water.
Especially now with no hair for me to like buffer it, it would be really weird. You know?
Is that a new hairpiece for him? No, he's just trying lettuce out on it.
Lettuce out.
That's a bad toupee. No, it's just lettuce.
All right, so a lot to get to today. We're going to get into the Sixers offseason. There's a Paul George clip from his podcast that I found interesting. Keith Pompey wrote a column.
By the way, thank God for the podcasts.
Thank God for podcasts.
They all do them.
Best way to get information from them sometimes.
Because it comes from their mouth.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not like making it up.
Exactly. And the one part that you and I know is they shield themselves from actual questions, like in forums
true,
like that.
But they do say stuff.
We'll get into the Eagles at some point as well because Adam Schefter had a couple interesting comments that I found, and it kind of made me ponder as we hit the dead point in the NFL calendar. But let's start with the Phillies, who they lose 5-2 yesterday. The outfield situation.
Still take the series.
They still take the series. They took 5 of 6 from San Diego, who is a playoff team. I think people are overreacting a little bit to the outfield situation. Look, Johan Rojas yesterday, if he's still with the club, is not in that lineup because of the fact it's a knuckleballer going, and he has tough enough time hitting fastballs. So let's be real. Marsh was probably going to play in center anyway.
Yep.
But they have a problem in the outfield. And in talking to some people when I was down there Tuesday night, they know they have a problem in the outfield. And I think it's pretty clear that this is going to be
an area that they
main area of concern that they're going to address at this trade deadline.
I know when you say like concern, but the Rojas move just happened. Wouldn't you give having Marsh in center a chance just to see if that improves the situation?
But I think the one thing that they're concerned with is that that Marsh doesn't hit lefties, and he's probably a platoon player anyway. And so now that he doesn't hit lefties, and you are a step down in defensively from Rojas.
Well, from Rojas of last year. Maybe not this year Rojas this year.
That's the thing. That's the other thing, too. Everybody talks about Rojas like he's already won like 5 Gold Gloves. I mean, Rojas was not great defensively.
I told you. I listened to Jason Stark on our station. I think it was last week. And when he gave defensive numbers and how it has slipped for Rojas this year, that was more telling than, if we can get him to bat 230, that would be,
right.
A gain.
And I know that the 230 comment has been mentioned a lot about the idea that the Phillies said, hey, if he hits Rob Thompson's comment.
Yeah, but they didn't anticipate his defense would drop off like it did. So, I mean, if you're going to say that part, you got to give the Stark numbers that are defensive.
And the other part of this is the fact that, to me, you didn't anticipate right field being as bad as it's been. And the fact is, when you go right field has been pretty brutal. You need to get more offensive punch somehow out of your outfield, and that's the way they're going to address it. And I was told pretty matter-of-factly that, yes, at least one, maybe 2 outfielders are what they will target here. The question becomes, how big a price are you paying?
Exactly.
And let's start with the Todd Zalecki quote from this show on Monday about the idea of Luis Robert has been named. Now, of course, Luis Robert, depending on what caller calls in and says this is the guy's name. Luis Robert's name has been mentioned. Zalecki mentioned it, and the idea of what it's going to take is a little prohibitive in his mind.
I think it's possible because Dave Dombrowski understands that this team is certainly talented enough to win the World Series. So if you do have an opportunity to get somebody like Robert in Chicago, you got to go for it. But at what price is the question, of course, right? Like if the White Sox, for instance, say, all right, we'll give him to you, but we have to have Aiden Miller and Andrew Painter is coming back from Tommy John surgery and maybe another player or two in your system. I don't make that trade. Me personally, I don't make that trade. I think Aiden Miller, their top position player prospect here, was their first-round draft pick last year. I think he has the potential to be a superstar.
Here's the thing that's conflicting. And let's put aside the idea that I'm not a big Luis Robert guy because I think he's too injured. I also think he's from an organization where he's not used to winning, and I want a guy who has been
a winner
and played in playoff settings. He doesn't have to have a ring, but he has to be able to thrive in playoff settings.
And know what the feeling is.
Right. That's why I really love Arozarena, if he is available, that the Phillies go and make a serious push, because I can guarantee you the Braves are going to make a push for Arozarena if the Rays are going to put him on the market.
By the way, before you continue, is the 7-game lead on them comfortable to you?
Yeah, it's still fine.
All right.
It is. I mean, look, it was going to shrink and it'll expand. The Braves are kind of in the stretch of the schedule that the Phillies were in early, where they're playing the teams that you should beat up on,
even without players that are injured.
Yeah. Look, that series in Atlanta right after the 4th of July is going to be big to determine if you have a division race at this point or not. But to me, you can the main thing is that if the White Sox are seriously wanting Painter and Miller and Crawford or some variation thereof, and then I can't do it. Like, they're not going to get a Juan Soto package for him. They're not. Juan Soto had a ring. Juan Soto is a better player. Juan Soto was healthier. So this notion that they're floating out there through all the baseball national guys that they want a Juan Soto package for Robert is absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah,
and
but you're still
awful.
more than a month away from the trade deadline, so why not reach for the stars if you're them?
If you're them, right.
And eventually it might come back to reality if they really want to make a move. But if I'm them with this much time still before the deadline, I do put that out. All you need is one to be a taker. You don't need everybody to love it.
Yeah, you need one. You need one sucker, basically. I mean, that's what it is, right? I mean,
Danny Ainge always finds one,
right? Unfortunately, it's here. The idea that Luis Robert could get a Juan Soto package is almost insulting to me, because the guy's never healthy. The guy is never that guy, Ray. And you follow this enough. I get when he's healthy, he's fine, but he's never been on a winner, and he's never been able to stay in a lineup, and that's kind of. If you're trading your top prospects, you kind of want that.
Oh, absolutely. But if I'm on the other side of that, I'm like, well, look at what he's done recently. And you look at the stretch since he's come back. Yeah. It's been fantastic for him. And you say, how much team control do you got for this guy? You know, he's going to be with you for quite a bit of time. Now you're going to start to want to get a little bit more back because you're not just renting this guy. This guy's going to be a key contributor for you for years to come. If I'm on the White Sox side of this one. I'm not totally sold on selling the farm for Luis Robert, I'll be honest. I think this town attached itself to the first name that's been thrown our way for this deadline because, hey, we're all in on this season. This season's been fantastic. You mentioned Arozarena. I'm really trying to work my way into talking myself into that reality too.
Why?
I just think overall, the numbers have been bad for him this season.
Right.
And I think underlying it's similar to what it's been past couple of years. So I don't think it's anything where it's been crazy, different than what he's done. He just hasn't gotten the results this year as compared to previous years. And like you said, you've seen him in the postseason. So
he's a 358 hitter in the postseason.
Ultimately, it's going to come down to what am I willing to part for him. And I'm not sure that I'm ready for a guy who's having the worst season of his career to say, okay, I'm giving up this, that, and the other thing for
You
him.
also have a Rosarena we should point out for 2 more years, I believe.
And I think that's also going to up the price on him.
It might.
I will point one thing out.
Go ahead.
If you're talking about, you got to know, and if you're Dombrowski, I have tremendous faith.
Yeah.
You got to know that he is a piece that will get you the prize. Because I point to the Drew Holiday all the time. Drew Holiday was the piece that got the Bucks the prize. Drew Holiday, at 34 years old, just got the Celtics their 18th World Championship.
Yep.
And they gave up Malcolm Brogdon, Williams, and 2 first-round picks. And, of course, everybody says, well, now it looks... But at the time, it looked like Brad Stevens was giving up a lot for a 34-year-old.
And I'll say this. I mean, if Kyle Tucker's out there, Kyle Tucker's is number 1 on my list, but Kyle Tucker's not going to be out there. I can't imagine. I think if Houston's making any deals, Alex Bregman is going to be the guy who goes out of that group.
Yeah, and if Tucker's on the list there, yeah, you can have everything.
Oh, yeah, pretty much.
Take everything. All right? You could trade me with it. I'll go live in Houston for a while. If
Open
that
the
brings
vault
Tucker
and let
here.
them walk in and just start picking?
Yeah, whatever you want, man. I'm serious on that one. Tucker's available.
It's like an all-you-can-eat farm system buffet at that point. I mean, look. And by the way, you don't want to live in Houston. That's a whole different story.
No, I don't want to. That's the sacrifice I'm willing to make for this team. I'll go with the prospects.
Right, but I got a few places in Houston if you have to visit it.
Oh, I mean Rice, so I'll probably end up down there. So I'll take your suggestions.
Oh, I got 2 good ones.
All right, sounds good.
And of course, one of those prospects is Aiden Miller. And this is what makes it a fascinating topic to me. Because, look, and you talked about podcast. This is actually, I guess, not technically a podcast, but this is Jim Bowden and Steve Phillips on Sirius XM talking about the Phillies and their main trade deadline. And they invoke a name that I never thought I would hear as the top Phillies prospect ever. Go ahead.
The Scout and Phillies organization said Aiden Miller's the best prospect we've had since Mike Schmidt.
Yes, he is. And that's my point. If you're going to get, and by the way, if you're the Phillies, if you trade him, you want to get Crochet and Robert, right? You want, but that's what it's going to take.
All right. First of all, let's not get over extreme here. Aiden Miller's a very nice prospect and everything. One, I doubt that Jim Bowden's been watching 55 years of Phillies prospects come through since Mike Schmidt made the majors. Okay, so let's calm down. I mean, I've talked to people at the organization who love him, who think he's tremendous, but I don't think anybody would go to that extreme when you've had Utley, Rollins, Howard, Scott Rowland went to a Hall of Fame. I mean, let's calm down a little bit. But this does bring up the question we always talk about, and I heard Andrew and Connor talk about it beforehand. What price on prospects? It's the one sport where prospects really still matter a ton.
Yeah, it's an asset.
What price are you paying? How willing are you to part with top prospects to try to win a ring this year?
I mean, you can't completely jeopardize your future. You have to be willing to make the smart move. If it gets you the World Series, but that's why it's like, you got to be sure.
Mm-hmm.
It's got to be a better than 50-50 bet.
Yeah, and I get that.
By the way, Bowden was the
GM of the Reds
when I was in Cincinnati.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Did they? I'm trying to think. They did make the playoffs when he was there, but
one time I was there for 3.5 years.
95, they made the playoffs.
There you go.
Yeah, it was.
Because I was there from 94.
That's when the Reds were.
When I came to Comcast in September of '97. So those were my 3.5 years.
That's when the Reds wore like those ice cream hat salesman things of the white and red and pinstripe and all that. I remember.
But that's why when I'm listening to him, it like was a rush of remembering the press conference. But you didn't sit on daises back then.
No, you just
put
the microphone there.
Yeah. But he sounded just like that.
All right, Ray, what price are you paying?
By the way, Miller's 20.
Yeah.
Right? 20 years old. I mean, I just think and I know in that sport, you're supposed to know and be able to project. But to know what a 20-year-old is going to do for you, at 25.
It's awful tough. It's awful tough. All right, Ray, what price are you paying this year on prospects?
The only ones that I have hesitation right now is Miller and Painter.
You see, Painter, I have a hesitation because one,
the injury, and you haven't
right, and you would be
it.
trading him basically at a low point,
right?
Yeah, and I would not do that.
And two, I had somebody in the Phillies organization tell me the other night they really have no pitching beyond him. I mean, we talk about Abel, we talk about McGarry.
No, you got to hang on to Painter.
You got to hang on to Painter. The thing with Miller that I find fascinating is it then leads to a conversation. If you're protecting Miller, then what are you doing with Bohm when he becomes a free agent in a couple of years or eligible for free agency? You better have a long-term plan if you are so protective of him. Is it moving Bohm to first eventually, but then what do you do with Harper? Is Harper then at DH? But you've also seen Harper defensively play really well at first.
You could always also put Harper back and right. I'm just saying, as he gets up in years, that's.
Yeah, I think though with the arm situation, they probably are going to be hesitant about putting him back out there.
I agree.
Look, I don't just want to trade Aiden Miller for anything. But if you're pretty confident you're going to keep Alec Bohm here as your long-term guy, then he's a luxury. He's a luxury to have because they're not getting rid of. Obviously, Turner's either going to stay at short or he's going to move to second. If they do that, they're probably going to move Stott over to short. They have a lot.
Basically, you're saying there's not a place for him
at this point. The positions that he plays are the positions that are kind of spoken for the next 5 years. If they decide to keep Bohm. Bohm is the one guy who would not likely, Bohm is the one question mark you would have out of that bunch. So I don't know. It's
an interesting.
Ray, again, you're prospect boy here. you are.
Oh, all right. Nice. I'll take that.
It's a formal title.
I didn't realize that. I have to update the resume.
It comes with.
I'll print you business cards.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
It comes with no cash, I should point out.
Okay, sounds good.
Look, I think that's the dilemma. Alec Bohm or Aiden Miller down the road.
It's the dilemma, but it's I also look at this situation when we talk about Bryce Harper at first base. It's a dilemma that the entire infield becomes a dilemma that you didn't quite anticipate. Mm-hmm. So is this something in a couple of years where we're talking about, hey, Bryce as a DH is the best for the most production you can get out of Bryce Harper and moving Bohm across the infield? I think they can also project this out. I have a hard time believing when they had the conversation with Bryce about first base that it wasn't a conversation of how this is going to progress through his entire contract. It wasn't just this year. So if they're really signaling to you that they're high on Aiden Miller and they want Aiden Miller here, now, when someone compares him to Mike Schmidt, that tells me someone's talking about him as...
And also, let's be fair. We've all dealt with this in different ways. Sometimes when they talk this is an organization puffing the chest to try to inflate the trade value.
That's exactly what I heard right there. What I heard right there is, hey, we got this guy who reminds us of the greatest third baseman we ever had and we've ever seen. Wouldn't you want to just take a look at the idea that our trade package could be better than anything you're going to hear this deadline season?
Here's the other point in this as well. When have the Phillies made a trade where they traded a prospect who's backfired on them? Going back, I said this to Ray before the show. Ryan Sandberg is the last prospect that they traded that I went, oh my God, why'd they get rid of him? There's never been that guy who you could point to. Gio Gonzalez, I don't even count really as their prospect because they got him, I believe, from the White Sox in the Tomey deal.
There was a guy a couple of years ago that we all talked about, said that he couldn't go, and then he pitched, I want to say, for maybe the Marlins.
Sixto Sanchez, but that was for Real Muto. So
and that one,
okay,
that one worked for you.
Oh, that worked in your.
That
favor.
did work. That was a concern when Real Muto was maybe leaving for free agency.
Yeah, but no. Okay,
right.
Over the next couple weeks, I could tell you, we're definitely going to begin with the 2022 trade deadline return. People are going to start looking back at that, at the Marsh for O'Hoppe, looking at Robertson for Ben Brown. That's going to be where people start pointing this one. And again, to me, the Brandon Marsh deal, I do it 10 times out of 10 again.
Oh, yeah.
100%. Just because at that time, does O'Hoppe become what he's become in L.A. with the playing time he would get on a team that had JT Realmuto? Do you get where you go in 2022 if you don't have a center fielder. So to me, like when we start revisiting this, because this is going to happen.
If you're still running Odubel out there, you're not getting the World Series. No.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, we're going to get, that's probably where people are going to point. When you say that, that's where my mind jumps first of where people are going to try and point back to and say, whoa, that Ben Brown guy. Like,
but even like on the Lee trade, on the Pence trade, on the Oswald trade may be the one that's closest because J. Happ had a decent career after he left. But
his timeline didn't fit.
But in fairness, if it's somebody does well and you did well, I don't consider that a bad trade because you got what you needed in the moment.
Absolutely.
It's only if somebody skyrockets away from you and you say, but to your point, Ray, if you didn't have a place in that moment for that person to develop in that time, then it may not have happened anyhow.
610-632-0975. So the question we're starting out with today on the Phillies is, when do you trade prospects? Or how willing are you to trade your prospects? On our Twitter poll today, if you could only protect one Phillies prospect in a trade this year, would you choose Andrew Painter, Aiden Miller, Justin Crawford, who is a center fielder who could actually benefit you down the road, or would you just trade them all at this point? Like, you'd be willing to trade any of them as we move forward. We'll also get into the best living players in each sport, obviously with Willie Mays passing away. It's a conversation I want to have here as we get towards the 11 o'clock hour. Tom McCarthy will join us at 11 o'clock.
One is a no-brainer. But
one is a no-brainer. The others are up for debate.
Yeah.
610-632-0975 on both the call line and the text line. Be glad to have you with us all day. I'm Kevin Cooney. It's D. Lynham. Ray Dunn has the update here on Middays on 97.5 The Fanatic. Here are middays, 97.5 The Fanatic. Kevin Cooney along with D-Line. I'm filling in for Bob and the crew. Ray is here, though. Ray is the stability. He is the constant.
Stability is not maybe the word I would use to describe me, but yeah, I'm here.
You're here.
That's what counts.
Kev's giving you a lot of titles here today. I mean, you're the prospect guy, you're stability. The business card's getting very full.
And it's something with this show, and I think with that seat, maybe the last name too, because Bob does the same thing. Bob gives me the adjectives, gives me different ways to describe me. I don't know.
The FCC-friendly adjectives, right?
Well, yeah. Once the mics come off, he describes me in a very different way.
Exactly.
Yeah, not too friendly either.
How was, by the way, he went to Sips last night, correct?
I did, yes.
City Sips, I used to love that.
Yes.
Where'd you go?
Pagano's on 20th Market, then walked our way up to Brew on around the corner from McGill's. Best way I could describe it. I forget what it's the street that's technically on. But yeah, so good time.
I would say I missed that type of stuff, but I never did that type of stuff anyway, even when I was a kid.
City Sips is a good one.
It's a good time.
I used to go to Davio's because they had the Kobe beef meatballs on Sips night.
Oh.
And they were good.
I'm going to have to look into that. I might be changing my Wednesday plans.
It's no longer called Davio's, but the place is there now.
Okay.
10 o'clock hour is brought to you by Window Nation. Take advantage of Window Nation's 50% off sale on all style windows. Make no down payments, plus with no payments and no interest for 12 full months. Call 866-90-NATION or visit them at windownation.com. Talking a lot of Phillies here in the first hour of the show, obviously with the fact that we are roughly 6 weeks from the trade deadline, July 30th at 6 p.m., the needs right now, obviously, outfield is the prime one. And I think everybody is saying that because of the fact that you look at it. You just look at them. One of these things is not like the other. Starting pitching, they're not going to have to go into that market. And it's a great luxury for a team in contention like the Phillies that they don't have to go play for a starting pitcher right now. Reliever, you can make the argument they could stay out of it. I think they'll try to reinforce at some point in some way. I would love to see Ryan Presley become available from Houston, but I don't see that necessarily happening. And then outfield's the one spot. I mean, it's outfield and backup catcher at this point. And even backup catcher, I don't know if they're going to dive too deep into that pool because of, the vibesman and Garrett Stubbs. You've covered, all right, this is the difference, I think, between baseball and you covered a lot of NBA trade deadlines.
Yes.
Through the years. The buildup on the baseball trade deadline and talking about players that you have never seen personally, even us who covered the sport, we don't get to see them because we're busy covering the big league team.
I think the difference is, like, even when I'm looking at Aiden Miller and he's, the Jersey Shore.
Right. He's forever and a day away.
Yeah. So I think the difference is that your prospects play such a key role in the Major League Baseball trade deadline, whereas, nobody's pounding the door for a G-League guy.
No.
They're not.
Because if they were, they'd be on a roster already with the draft.
So what they will want is what Darryl has right now, and those are picks.
Right.
So I think that's the biggest difference. Baseball, the picks, these guys have already been picked, and there's so many levels of coming up through the minors. And at any point, a guy down there can increase his value or may, his development comes along faster, or he shows his colors that he's maxed out. So I think that's the biggest difference in the two sports and the trade deadline.
I think also the only other sport that can come close is hockey.
Yeah.
Because you have so much in the juniors and you have so much of that. But even there, because hockey's trade deadline is so weird. Like, it's so late in the season. Baseball is at basically the midway point.
Right, which is the place it should be.
Right.
To be honest, basketball's at the 2/3. I think it should be moved back. Because, I think of when Harden came here. You had 22 games. I don't think that's enough in an 82-game season if you were going to make an acquisition to truly give yourself a chance to benefit. Now, I'd have to go and see when Dallas got their two guys this year. I thought it was at the trade deadline, and clearly they made it work.
Right.
They just weren't as good as the Celtics. And even with those two additions, could never be as good as that Celtics team.
And it's strange, too, Ray, because of the idea that, look, for the Phillies, you also look at the total landscape of the sport. You know, the Yankees got Garrett Cole back, but they're vulnerable. I mean, their lineup is not super deep. The Dodgers now without Betts and Yamamoto for extended period of time. The Braves, who have two outfielders out, one for the season, the other's out probably August or September. And the Orioles keep dropping pitchers left and right. Kyle Bradish is now out. This feels like the Phillies have to kind of go all in, and that's a dangerous spot in a way because you can really hurt your future going forward.
And it'll be interesting with the idea of them going all in. The rest of the league, looking at the landscape right now, you just described where some teams that are the best teams in baseball have holes. Well, are you going to go, all right, yeah, we can sell to this team because they have these holes and that'll end up working out for us long term? Or do you look at the last 2 years and say, hey, that Phillies team got themselves into the playoffs, made their way to the World Series. That Diamondbacks team got themselves in the playoffs, made their way to the World Series. You look at right now where the sport is and the number of teams that are sitting in the wild card race right now. Is a team going to part with somebody for the future when they think, well, all I need is a hot August or a hot September. We're right in this thing. We make the postseason, and we catch lightning in a bottle. And financially, at least the business side of the building has to be like, whoa. Like you probably want to try and chase what the Phillies were able to find, what the Diamondbacks were able to find. If you're looking at some of these teams, given some of the holes that are on the true contenders this season, and the fact that so many teams are still just lurking around. And obviously they would be right now in June, but I don't see that changing a ton before we get to the end of July.
And the thing gets me, and this, you bring up a great point here. This is one of the bad parts of the new playoff system. The bad parts of the new playoff system are twofold. One, everybody believes they're still in it. So the market,
because they are.
Yeah. So the market is diluted. You're not going to have
they're not as many sellers as there used to be because people think they have a chance. The wild card teams have done quite well in this system.
84 games.
Yeah.
You win 84 games in the regular season. There's a chance you win a pennant.
There is a chance, though, this year that the National League's third wild card is going to be under 500, which is ridiculous.
Which is crazy.
But it's there. It's there. And it's going to keep teams like the Cubs and the Pirates and all that. Not that the Pirates would be trading anybody at this point anyway, because they kind of like their young core. But it's all right, a perfect example is the Padres. Okay? The Padres, I look at that Padres team the other night, and Robert Suarez would get big attention from teams in contention. I know he had his struggles the other night and lost, but Suarez is now 19 for 20 in save opportunities, and he's been terrific for most of the year. If they traded him, they would get enough that could vault them into contention a year or two down the road. But they're not going to do it because they feel like they're in this second and third wild card and do what Arizona and Philadelphia did and maybe make a run. It's the bad part of the playoff system, and I think it does hurt the game in that sense.
I think things go through phases. So the examples of where that wild card team like the Phillies doing well, getting it, just squeaking in, and then doing well. But give it some time, and let's just see 2 years down the road, is that still the case?
I think the gap this year, though, I don't know if you agree with the gap between the top teams and the playoff fillers, if you will, is way bigger. Like Phillies, Dodgers. I'll go Phillies, Dodgers at this point. Braves, if they make a few moves, could get back in this group. Are so far ahead of everybody else in the National League.
I would agree with that.
That it's not the same as it's been the last couple of years, where the Dodgers had pitching issues and the Braves had different bullpen issues.
That's it for me right there. That's the equalizer. If I'm a team, like I think a lot of teams can convince themselves that we're still in this and look at what's happened the last couple of years. I think if I'm a team that has frontline pitching that I believe in, that's where I would be like, you know what? We could be that sixth team that goes and makes it. I mean, that's the great for the Phillies. That's been the difference in the NLDS the last 2 years. Who started game 3 for the Braves? Who started game 3 for the Phillies? You take one in Atlanta, you come back home, go up 2-1 because you have pitching and they don't.
And it's the main difference really between the Phillies and Dodgers, if you look at it, because the Phillies have had playoff success with this group, and the Dodgers, for the most part, have not. And I think that's why they'll
even though they've had regular season success, ridiculous.
Yeah, look, let's be honest. I think Dave Roberts' job is on the line if they don't get to an LCS this year. I mean, at some point, the Dodgers are going to look and go, I'm spending $300-some million for a team that keeps knocking out in the first round, no matter how many regular season games they win.
So they're the Sixers of the National League?
They did win the World Series in that in the bubble.
She does give a good.
What? That
is
is
a good. Hand it to her on that.
That's a great analogy.
Thank you, Kevin.
Thank you. I mean,
you have like 3 Joel Embiids in that lineup. Ohtani and Betts and
well, and all right.
Freeman.
Well, I'll say this though: Freeman and Betts both have rings.
Yeah.
Ohtani, I do wonder how he'll handle playoffs. He's never been in it.
I don't know if the World Baseball Classic's any indication. I don't know if it.
Oh, stop it!
Come on, like
you know Kevin hates that.
Stop
I know
it.
he hates it, but
the World Baseball Classic is playing in March against a different pitcher every 2 innings is not the same as playing in October.
I forgot how upset he got about the World Baseball Classic.
I mean,
That's all mine.
We're in hour 1. Don't wind him up, please.
It's 10:42.
Nah.
I mean, what has told you about Ohtani that wouldn't lend itself to the postseason?
The fact that he hasn't been there. I mean, I don't know how he'll react. I've watched Barry Bonds was for most of his career, an awful playoff performer, at least with the Pirates. With the Giants, he had that 1 year in 2002 where he just was crazy. But there's been a lot of playoffs where Bonds was bad. I've watched Greg Maddux suffer in the playoffs. I mean, playoffs do different things to guys in baseball. More than I think even the NBA or the NHL. Like, you've seen McDavid step up in the NHL. McDavid showed what a star does at this point. The NBA, I think you saw, it's tough to say with the Celtics, but you saw Luka step up this year.
Yeah. Well, and I think you could throw the Celtics in because obviously they knocked on
Tatum
the door
and Brown,
twice before. I think they were helped by the Porzingis and the Holiday move. And Derek White. Like, who are we kidding?
And let's be real. We lived around here. If you want to take the football analogy, Donovan in big spots.
Yeah. Ohtani to his sport, Donovan to his sport, but yeah.
I get it.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I understand
this.
your point to this, but I'm just saying.
Give him a chance. I mean, just because he's never been there, that's not his fault that he's never been there.
No, it's not.
I'd say
Just like
give
it's
him a
not
chance.
Trout's. No, it's like it's not Trout's fault he never was there. He was surrounded by an awful organization.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes stars are born in the postseason.
I actually remember.
I mean, that's where Jalen Brunson got his deal with the Knicks because of what he did in Dallas in the postseason.
It's funny she mentions this because I remember that MLB did a whole ad campaign the 1 year of that Legends Are Built in October.
Yeah,
thing.
there you go.
Right, and they played that awful Written in the Stars song the whole time. And at the ballpark, we heard it every in between inning, and it got to the point where we all we hated that song at the end of it. Sometimes.
Overkill.
Oh, the earworm is just incredible. 610-632-0975. What would you part with to make a move to fill the Phillies outfield? Well, also at the 7 o'clock, I'm sorry. I'm still on the night shift. At the 11 o'clock hour, we'll talk about the Sixers and some Paul George comments and Keith Pompey's column that I got to admit I'm a little worried about. I'm Kevin Cooney at D-Line. I'm with Ray Dunn here on Middays on 97.5 The Fanatic. 10:50 on a Thursday morning. I have to remind myself what day of the week it is, which is probably not a good sign. It's
summertime.
It's the first day of summer today. Today is the
solstice.
Yeah.
We call it the summer solstice.
Yeah.
Nice.
You know what? I can't do it today, obviously, because I'm working. But what I've done in the last couple of years, we play, my husband, our friend Joe, and me. We play 3 rounds of golf in 3 different states.
Ooh.
Because it's the longest day. So the first year we did Delaware, Maryland, Pennsylvania.
Okay.
Last year we did Connecticut, New York, New Jersey.
I'll probably use the extra time to mow my lawn.
And by the way, last year, Ray, I thought I had a caddy for the last round. Did not. So I carried my bag 54 holes that day.
Jeez.
Walked and carried.
It's funny, though. That was going to be my guess. If I had to guess the way you'd spend the longest day of the year, I was like, she found a way to get as many rounds of golf in as possible on that day. But that's really 3 states, 3 different. That's a fun day right there.
Yeah. We might still, obviously we're not doing it today, but we've kicked around, not the 3 states, but like maybe playing 3 courses in the area that are designed by the same designer.
That's cool.
Are you going out and playing after you're done here today?
Yes, Cap.
Okay. I'm just asking. I can't.
If it's not raining.
I don't think it's supposed to rain. So.
No, it's not. It's not going to break till the weekend.
So, yeah.
I have a big match tomorrow, so I have to
practice.
Okay.
Phillies are off tonight. They play the Diamondbacks starting tomorrow. Tomorrow night will be big, actually. It's Cole Hamels night. He'll retire and everything.
What's the giveaway for that, do you think?
They're giving away the National League Championship ring from 2009, which I find ironic because 2009 he was awful.
Also,
enough time has passed that people don't remember that. Come on, man.
You're giving away that on Hamels night, you know?
The timing of it also being that they are having that giveaway with the Diamondbacks coming to town, like an NL championship ring.
Yeah, did you see the Diamondbacks are actually doing it the opposite way when the Phillies come to town?
Yeah, I mean, that's how I, like...
Oh, yeah.
To the victor, you go the spoils in that one. Like, you got to do that one.
I always hate runner-up rings anyway. I do. Like, I get why they do them, but...
I mean, I still think winning a pennant is something significant.
Like, I didn't see too many guys bragging about their NFC championship rings. Or did the Sixers win when they won in 2001, or when they went to the finals in 2001? They didn't win it all, obviously.
Did they get rings?
Did they get rings for going to the finals in the NBA?
I don't recall that. I know they put a banner up for winning the Eastern Conference. That's all I remember.
Yeah.
I wore my ring yesterday. My G League championship.
Very nice.
They're nice.
It does look cool.
I had my Drexel ring somewhere at home, but I lost it. You know, that's about it.
And it has my name engraved on it.
Wow.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
It's a nice item right there.
She broke out the bling.
Yeah, that's pretty nice. We're talking about rings all of a sudden. Yeah. I know a thing or two about those. Yeah. That's great. Brandon, make sure you're getting that on the YouTube.
She's going to be waving like this, pretty soon.
The Miss America wave.
The Miss America wave. The Queen wave. All right. Time to check our Twitter poll. Ray, you put the Twitter question up on our Twitter account or X account or whatever we're calling it this week.
At 975 The Fanatic, if you could only protect one prospect in a trade, which one would you choose? 13% of people saying Justin Crawford, 15.2% saying trade them all. Andrew Painter getting 35.2%, and right now the one that wants to be protected the most, 36.7% saying protect Aiden Miller.
Wow.
Painter and Miller are interesting because of the idea that...
Wait, what was the number on
Crawford?
Miller?
Miller was 36.7%.
And Painter's 35.
Yeah.
So...
It's about the same.
Yeah.
And Painter, obviously, because of the injury and going to miss this whole year.
That just means out of sight, out of mind.
Right.
That's all that number is.
But if you... Again, the thing I have trouble getting over is the idea that if you trade him, you're trading him at bottom value. And that's where I
agree with you.
I'd have a tough time. Plus, they're going to need another. Again, their pitching depth in the minors from everybody I've talked to in the organization is awful. Awful. Like, we talk about McGarry and we talk about Abel. I think mentally they're ready to move on. I think if they can package either one of them in a trade this year, they're going to do it. They're kind of not counting on them for the long-term future.
The biggest indictment I think of Abel right now is that when we had that whole Taiwan conversation,
he's never mentioned.
He was not mentioned once.
Never
there was not a single person like, hey, that guy's doing something down there. Because, the ETA is now, this season. I think
it's probably at the end of last year, to be honest.
Right. So the fact that he wasn't even in a conversation of, hey, Turnbull, we can't do we can't, hit his innings threshold. So we still want to see what he has. And obviously Walker's going to get his opportunity. I'm not saying that we need to relitigate everything we did 2 weeks ago with Taiwan Walker conversation. But I feel like when that conversation started,
His favorite.
Abel was a name that I think should have been on people's minds if he was on schedule for what they expected him.
610-632-0975. When we come back, Tom McCarthy, the voice of the Phillies on television, will join us. We'll talk Phillies here for another segment. Then we'll get into our Sixer conversation. Reminder also, we'll have special draft coverage next Wednesday night on the Sixer draft.
Wednesday from the facility, but Tyrone and I will be on Wednesday and Thursday night because of the new format.
Yeah, I love
the
that.
NBA draft.
That's real awesome. If it wasn't Bronny, would they do it? No, it wouldn't.
And it might be
next year. It'll go back. Yeah, exactly.
Enjoy it now.
Bronny mania.
So, but somebody could take Bronny with the 30th pick, and then it'll really kill the next day.
Yeah. Who's got the 30th pick? I'm all in for that.
Well, that would be Boston.
Boston.
Oh
my God.
Oh, that's going to happen.
Dude.
I have a rooting interest.
Seriously, I just set up what will happen.
That's great.
610-632-0975. Here's Ray with the update on 97.5 The Fanatic. Today's show, I'm Kevin Cooney along with D. Lynham. Ray Dunn is producing here on 97.5 The Fanatic. Here till 2 o'clock. Best show ever. We'll take over at that point. Talked a lot of Phillies here in the first hour, obviously with the situation as we approach the end of June. Trade deadline coming up. Phillies, look, I thought the Phillies put a lot of runners on base the last couple of days. They stranded a lot, but their offensive stuff I was not real concerned about. They'll be fine. But the outfield situation is obviously going to be one that is going to get looked at a lot. And joining us now on the Comcast Business Hotline, he is the television play-by-play voice of the Philadelphia Phillies. He's also one of the voices for CBS on college basketball and the NFL, and Westwood One, I should point out, on radio. It's our buddy Tom McCarthy. Tom, how are you?
Are you related to Bob?
I am not related to Bob.
They're identical cousins.
Everybody asks me that.
The height kind of gives it away.
Yeah, well, he got the looks in the family. What can I say? All right, Tom. Let me start with this. Obviously, after that long trip with London and Boston and Baltimore, they looked like they were running on fumes when they got home, but it looked like that their bats came alive this week. How much of that is just feeling comfortable, getting a little bit of a jolt, getting back in front of that crowd at CBP?
I think that's all of it, honestly, Kev. I mean, it's this team. I mean, obviously loves to play at home like everybody does, and it's not only the game and atmosphere. The atmosphere is obviously the first thing, but it's also just all the stuff that they get done before the game. The comfort level of being home. I mean, this is a group that really likes each other a lot. So you couple that with the hanging out in the clubhouse stuff and, just being able to get comfortable in their own bed again. I mean, it was a long trip. It was a really enjoyable trip to be able to represent Major League Baseball in London. But I know they were happy to get home. I mean, they're marveling like we all are at the crowds. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind that they're marveling about it. So, yeah, I think it's just about getting home. That was the biggest thing.
Tom, just because you did bring up London, and I have been there, so I can picture some of the stuff that was happening there. But what was the experience? Because when I think of England or even overseas in general, not being baseball places, what was your reaction to the fans that were not the Phillies fans that flew over there to be there, but to the people that actually lived there and attended?
Dee, I've been there so many times for the NFL that I was wondering how it was going to be with baseball, and I thought it was awesome. Just going from restaurant to restaurant, appearance to appearance. I had to do a lot of appearances, and there was interest. I don't know if they're all as interested as they are in the NFL, but right. I will say it was surprising how many people followed what was going on in the States when it came to baseball itself. I was really impressed. I mean, I always am when I'm over there. I think for both the NFL and for Major League Baseball and even the NBA, I haven't been over there for the NBA, but I do think that it is a really good idea to do something like that because, first of all, London's awesome, but I do think that there's so much there that we're not always exposed to. It was just great. The whole thing was great.
Can I ask you, the beer was warm when I was there. I don't like warm beer.
I'm with you on that. It was not as warm this time. In fact, Patrick and I were talking about the same thing. It was not as warm this time. But if you go to a corner pub, I think it is. I'm the same way as you are. It's my, obviously I love beer, but
Don't we all?
Yeah, but I'm with you. I think I usually do think it's, it's too warm, but it wasn't this time.
Tom McCarthy joining us. Yeah, Tom McCarthy joining us on the Comcast Business Hotline. All right, Tom. So a lot of the attention today has been on the outfield. Obviously, the Rojas demotion, if you will, and being optioned out. To you, is that the clear target they have to focus on before they get to July 30th at this point?
Yeah, I think so, and I think that's what they're doing. The only thing is, Kev, there's really nobody out there right now, and that's the problem. I do think that they want to. They probably do want to make sure that they are shored up in the outfield. But again, if you scan teams that are still around, even the Mets, There's just not many guys out there right now. But I do think that'll be a goal. That'll be an objective. I also think that, if they do find a bona fide closer, they're going to try to find a bona fide closer. And they're not going to go outwardly, hunting for it. Because if they don't, I think they're content with Alvarado and Jeff Hoffman. But I do think that they'll look for a closer. I really do.
And I don't know if you could say names. I mean, Ryan Presley's the one that's been mentioned a lot.
I think that's the one. I think he's probably. Well, I would say, and I don't always like to do names because I obviously I'm not with those organizations to know what their feeling is. I kind of think that the Astros will be stubborn about things. I still think they feel like they're involved. I think the Helsley guy from St. Louis is an option for a lot of teams, but I do think that he's, again, it's whether they think they're out of it or not. And that's going to be a problem for a lot of teams because all these teams have a chance to make the postseason.
Tom, you worked for years in minor league baseball, obviously up in Trenton and all that. Prospects are ones that always come up at this time of year. And I mentioned the fact that for as much as we all drool and yell about the prospects, the Phillies, even in the trades they did back in the late 2000s and 2010s, really never got burned on any of their prospects. Like the risk reward of making one of these deadline deals, and you worry sometimes about if you're going to give away a guy who's going to be a top prospect. It doesn't. More often than not, it doesn't really impact you down the road. Would you agree?
I would agree, and I used to be that way, Kev, where I was sort of steadfast, and it was probably because I was in the minor leagues. I was steadfast and, hey man, I don't want to get rid of this guy. But I'm of the theory now is if I have a chance to win, I'm going for it, and I'm not worried about. I'll figure out 3 years down the road. Do you know what I mean? I never used to be that way 100%, but I am that way now. I'm full boat that way. Last year or 2 years ago when the Phillies traded Logan O'Hoppe, I found like I had a knot in my stomach. You know what I mean? Like, because I really thought he'd be a good player. But look what they get in return in Marsh. I mean, Marsh he's not a perennial all-star. I think he can be, but he fits in like a glove. I mean, it works out perfectly for both the Angels and for the Phillies. So, I feel that way. I feel like it's you go get it now if you can go get it now.
Tom, you mentioned how teams are saying, well, I still have a chance to make the postseason, and more teams are in that boat because there's more places to get in.
There's more docks.
Yeah, more,
yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But it also changes the market. So there are fewer sellers and there are more buyers out there. Good or bad for baseball?
I think it's good for baseball to have teams that are sort of in it for a longer period of time. But I go back to, let's say, last year when the Marlins got in. Great story. Finished strong. Nobody expected it. Laid an egg in the first round against the Phillies. But then you have the Phillies who just barely got in 2 years ago.
Yep, and they were a great story.
And they were a great story all the way through. Yep. So I think it's good for baseball. I do think I used to love the trade deadline when I was a kid because it was so cool to see guys moving and shaking. It just makes that a little different now.
Yeah, there's not as much to, there was always a lot of movement, and now it seems like there's less.
Yeah, it's just not the same. There's no blockbusters or anything like that anymore either.
Right, and you look at there's only 5 teams right now that you could say are legitimately out of it, and that's White Sox, Marlins. You can maybe make an argument on Colorado being there as well. I mean, that's why I cringe about this idea. Like everybody's talked about Luis Robert, and I know you don't want to get into specific. Like I want players, Tom, that have played in big spots and played in playoff settings because I don't think guys know what they're walking into the first time they go into a playoff setting. You've been around, you've been around playoff teams for a long time. Like, look, I think even for Ohtani, this is going to be a question when the Dodgers get there at some point. You don't know when you walk into October what you're going to get, and it's a whole different ball game at that point. And I really want somebody. If the Phillies are going to go get an outfielder, I want somebody who's been there, and Robert hasn't, obviously.
Yeah, but I also think that you can learn what it's like, particularly in this strength of a clubhouse. I really do think you could be sheltered to the point where you're given an opportunity to sort of soak in what it's like to be in the postseason. So you've got Schwarber, Harper, Real Muto. You can go along with Turner. All these guys have playoff experience. So if you bring somebody in that is a really good player but doesn't have a lot of playoff experience, they can sort of sit in the back a little bit and watch, but still perform, if that makes any sense. So, yeah, I know what you're saying, Kev, but again, there's not a lot of guys out there. And by the way, Robert, right now, there'd be too much. They're just asking for too much for somebody like that, according to
they're looking for Soto type deal. He's not a Soto type player at this point.
Not even close.
No.
Not even close.
And Tom, I was trying to tell Kev, my perspective is that it's not a person's fault if they haven't been given the opportunity to be in the postseason. And so, kind of wait, let me show you. I've seen it in the NBA. You want to talk about OKC this year.
Right.
They're Luka.
Right.
Luka's shined like nobody's business. Maybe last year was a disappointment, but I think you got to give a person an opportunity.
Tom,
and I think with this clubhouse, you can give somebody an opportunity.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Tom McCarthy will be on the call tomorrow night on Apple TV. We have to remind people.
We will.
It's you. Is it Crocker tomorrow night too with you?
Oh yeah. We just had a Zoom. Our biggest problem is we don't know what to wear because we always dress like we're animals.
That's true.
So I want him to wear like a concert T-shirt or something like that, like a Meatloaf T-shirt.
I got to tell you, Tom, maybe because I'm a production-based person, but I love Apple's production and their graphics are amazing.
Yeah, they have a lot at their disposal, Dave.
They really do.
And I think it's cool. I think it's for us, it's going to be different, obviously, because it's not NBC Sports.
Yeah, it's not your people, right?
Yeah, but a lot of our people are on the crew, like our camera guys.
Oh, cool.
Stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's you and Crocker and Taryn, correct? And somebody from the Diamondbacks.
And Ryan Spilborgs, actually, he does their normal Apple game. So, well, we've already told him you have no idea what you're getting yourself into.
No. Ryan's going to get the full Crocker experience. I'll see you at the ballpark there tomorrow night.
You're going to get the full Crocker experience.
Yep. I'll see you at the ballpark tomorrow night, Tom. Thanks a lot for joining us.
All right, guys. Have a great day.
Tom McCarthy joining us on the Comcast Business Hotline. Every day in business, a big day. Let Comcast Business keep you ready for what's next. Yeah, that'll be interesting tomorrow night because they also are going to have the Hamill ceremony on Apple TV too.
So will they carry that?
They are carrying that as well.
That's pretty cool.
Tomorrow night in its entirety. So it'll be.
Are you ready for this? I'm going to have to get Apple TV tonight. I don't have it.
It's an interesting weekend because
when I've had it, I'm watching somebody else's.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't know if I have it or if I have someone else's.
Yeah, but that's how I know the production because I'm attracted to watching their production.
It's going to be an interesting weekend, by the way. I should point out, Apple TV tomorrow night, Roku channel on Sunday.
And isn't that like
at 11:30 in the morning?
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
It's too much.
11:30.
Roku, I have no idea what to get, where to get it. I have no interest. Just Apple, I do.
Before I even get to the Roku, like 11:30 for a Phillies Diamondbacks game.
Yeah, it's only the National League Championship Series rematch. I mean, really?
Arizona, what time you got to be up to watch your team?
9:30, I think.
Yeah, like come on.
Yeah, because they don't do daylight savings.
Which means it would be 8:30. Because they wouldn't go ahead of that.
Yeah, there's a reason I said what time. I don't know. How it works out there.
I think they did. I think they got rid of daylight savings.
They did. 610-632-0975. Bill in Utah. Bill, you're on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Hey, that's good. How you doing, man?
We're good.
Good. Hey, listen, this question about trading prospects, Miller, and so forth. I was telling the guy that answered the phone, I wouldn't trade Miller regardless, unless it was something spectacular. But I'm not about to trade away our farm and be competitive years from now just to win a single world championship. Now, yes, winning the world championship is important. But if I'm going to unload the farm, I need more than one ring. I need to know that there's 2 or 3 rings behind that. I just can't handle winning now, being competitive for a year or two, and then sucking after that.
Bill, with all due respect, and I understand what you're saying, I've lived in a city that's had 2 rings in 40 years. I mean, I just want one right now, and then I'll worry about the second afterwards. I mean,
I know, but you could be competitive still with your prospect and still be competitive to win a championship. But if you trade away all that youth and then these older guys get older and then they retire, what do you have left? Then you're going to be not non-playoffs.
Well, you see, and thanks, Bill, for the call. I appreciate it.
Is that what Washington would be? Is that what people would say?
Yeah, you know what? I don't think Washington matters. I don't think Washington
they care.
I'll be honest. Like sometimes when you go into Dom Brown, and look, I love Dom as a person. Okay, I covered Dom Brown for a lot of years. They held on to Dom Brown. They held on to Dom Brown, and it just never happened. I mean, you sometimes fool yourself into thinking it,
or you keep hoping.
Yeah.
Can you believe they traded Kyle Drabeck?
Ray, by the way, it's 8:18 in Phoenix right now. So.
Okay, it is. Thank you.
So it is 3 So
hours.
they got to get up at 8:30. 8:30.
Yeah. Well, for first pitch, yeah, you got to be up, moving, unless you got the TV in bed.
Well, you get yourself a coffee and.
Yeah. I mean, it's not the worst thing in the world.
By the way, how is the National League Championship rematch not on Fox or ESPN this weekend at least once?
Well, the Yankees are playing, so if I had to guess.
Or the Dodgers or somewhere.
Right, yeah.
I get Fox is tonight investing heavily into the Rick Wood Field game as well. It's going to be a primetime game.
And
rightfully
should. I was just going to say, as it should.
Oh, yeah, you got Yankees-Braves this weekend.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So there you go.
There you go.
It's over.
Dumb Kev.
Now, wait a minute. When they made that, the injuries hadn't happened.
Yeah.
When
No.
they had that television series.
No, but they do go out of their way, it feels like, to
Stiff
Yankees.
the Phillies?
Like, think of it.
I think it's just to pump up the Yankees thing.
Yeah.
The last 3
That's
weeks.
been all our lifetime.
Well,
right, yeah.
The Yankees weren't a playoff team last year. That's what kind of amazes me in a sense of you're doing all this.
Well, they do have 51 wins right now.
I know, but look, think of it. 3 weekends ago, you got the Dodgers, Yankees. Last weekend, you had Yankees, Red Sox at Fenway. This weekend, you're going to have Yankees, Braves. I mean,
they aren't bad series.
They're not bad series.
And that random computer
I'm
generator
sorry.
did a good job of putting some weekends together in June.
I mean, Yankees, Braves, I know we like Phillies, Diamondbacks, but if you're looking for a national audience,
I'll readily
I agree with you on that one.
I'll readily admit, when I get home on Saturday night, I'll flip on Yankees, Braves.
Oh, 100%. Now, listen, they're doing the right thing. I only threw the little throwaway line of like, oh, what are the Yankees doing this weekend? And it turns out they are doing something pretty awesome.
They are doing something pretty awesome. All right, so when we come back, we'll get into the Sixers topic as well. But I also want to bring this question up, and I want to have feedback on it on the text line or on the phones. The best living players in each sport. After Willie Mays died, Willie Mays was the consensus best living baseball player.
Some would say maybe Bonds, but yeah.
But 1 and 1A.
Yeah.
I think Willie, because of the idea of the passion he drew, and we'll get
yeah.
into the Mays situation a little later as well. NHL, I think we both agree it's Gretzky and
the debate's over.
My God,
the debate's over.
They did an unbelievable ESPN did story comparing him and McDavid, and as great as McDavid is, when you put up the numbers. Like, nobody's going to
Good luck.
Nobody's going to touch that guy. I mean, I don't care what trophies you get, but you're not going to touch the statistics.
But we'll get into the NBA. We'll get into the NFL. And
I have to see who's
still. We'll
still
get into MLB.
That's going to be a hard one.
Yeah. 610-632-0975. We'll talk Sixers in the next segment. Thank you to everyone who's listening. Thank you to the people on our YouTube chat. Even... people.
Kev didn't tell me we were on YouTube. I said I would have maybe done something with my hair. You know?
Right.
I'm ready for the
I was just going to say, Ray wore his finest T-shirt. I mean,
winning is an attitude, man.
I mean, I'm kind of lucky. I had at least I brought the bling was in the bag.
I kind of figured you knew we were on YouTube the way you flashed it up right to the camera. I was like, oh, she knows. That's the camera presence right there. That's the TV background right there.
Winning's an attitude, huh?
It is.
Attitude over there has stunk the last 5 or 10 years, hasn't it?
I knew you were going to try and punchline my expense.
610-632-0975. Here's Ray with the update on 97.5 The Fanatic. 11:30, 97.5 The Fanatic. I'm Kevin Cooney along with D-Line, and we're filling in for Bobby. Seriously, what do you think Bob's shooting right now at the Barkley tournament? Bobby, can Bobby
it's a
play?
Scramble.
Okay.
He would tell you he can play.
Okay.
Ooh.
that did sound like an indictment. Dig in it.
Did sound like a
He'll tell you
real
he can
endorsement.
play.
No, he's an athlete.
He is an athlete.
He is an
He's
athlete.
an athlete. He's
I'm reminded of that.
yes. No, he's an athlete.
We're getting.
So can he play? I haven't seen him
Not
play.
all athletes can play golf, though. Let's be
No,
real.
he can play golf.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right. Charles is an athlete. Charles can play golf.
Charles played very well yesterday.
Really?
Yes. Charles shot an 85.
Where?
Place that I like to call home.
Oh, so you saw Charles yesterday?
Yes.
All right. Hold on. This is the investigative reporter in me. Did you go, are you really retiring?
Oh, yeah. No, he's retiring.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, we're going to have a year of entertainment like nobody's business. I'm just going to tell you. They will, because they want to go out in style. They know what they've been, and it will be must-see TV every night they're on.
Oh, I can't wait.
Hold on.
And I got to tell you.
She was hanging out with Charles yesterday. I was playing with my puppy trying to make sure he went to the right spot in the yard.
Can I tell you?
I want your life.
Every kid that came up and said, "Mr. Barkley, could I please get a picture?" Of course, little man. You know, I mean,
great.
everybody.
It's funny because I ran into Charles when I was like 15 or 16 years old. They did a tournament for Chris Short, the former Phillies pitcher who had a stroke and everything. So there was. And Charles was there.
Oh.
And he was like that with everybody. And he was like, basically, he had not reached MVP level yet. He was still with the Sixers, but he was like, oh my God, he was awesome.
The one kid who I know, because I'm friends with his father, and Chris is 11, I think. So I said, Chris, do you know Mr. Barkley? And he said, I don't like basketball, but I know who you are. I was like, okay, this is good.
We should point out 97.5 The Fanatics Fan Fest 2024. Maybe we can get Charles there.
Yeah, I will tell you, he is here for the summer, so you could bump into him anywhere.
Okay.
He's living here for the summer. He has a house here.
I bumped into him at a Wawa on Lancaster Avenue the one time.
Yeah, I mean, you could, because this is home in the summer for him.
97.5 The Fanatics Fan Fest, sponsored by FanDuel. Saturday, September 28th at Xfinity Live. All the Fanatic hosts, celebrity guests, Philly sports legends, activities, games, prizes, and so much more. Biggest party of the year for Philadelphia sports fans. You can listen all weekend this weekend for tickets, including right now, if you call our contest line at 215-263.
What are you trying to send them wrong number?
Some poor guy.
He has someone specific he wants to win. Everyone else, call a different number.
215-263-0975 on the contest line. What number are we taking?
Number 6.
Number 6. And Brendan will take care of you in the back as well. We'll give another one out a little bit later on in the show. Yes, D has been on me about the fact I read numbers too quickly. And I am so self-conscious that I am now jumping ahead on numbers.
But right, there's a reason there's a reason. So one of my best friends from college was visiting the East Coast, happened to be coming from Gettysburg down here to Philly because I think they flew in and out. He happened to stumble upon me on the radio, and of course he would know my voice. And I get a text eventually saying, I'm trying to call, but you say the number so fast, I can't get the number. And ever since he did that, I say, I understand the person who's never called the line. Think about hearing it at the pace that Kev likes to.
I just hear it in my head constantly.
Correct.
Laying down at night, I just hear 610-632.
You saw therapy for that, right?
Yes, I have to.
I appreciate it.
I can't get over. You were hanging out with Charles Barkley yesterday, and you were saying that my SIPS plans were cool. Oh, yeah, that was fun. That must have been fun for you.
Just hanging out with Charles,
Oh, that's
Should have
awesome.
invited Charles in here today.
He doesn't.
We could have. Yeah.
We do this again down the road.
He was on 9. They played from the Blacks, by the way. All the tips. and he shot his 85.
Does he still have that hitch in his
No.
swing?
And he has a golf coach.
Wow.
Yeah, he's about to do a little getaway with the golf coach to work on his game.
That Warner Brothers money must be really good, man. Really good.
It's fun to see him it's a good swing.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
He put a ton of time into the game.
He gave my crew. I played with 3 guys I had never met before. I saw an opening for one, and I just wanted to play. And so he was on 9, and I was putting on 11. And he's like, "They didn't give you that?" And the rest of them, they were like, "Is that Charles Barkley?" I said, "Yeah." And they're like, "Oh my God, we got to give you putts." But I don't need Charles yelling at us.
Congratulations to Nick Merlino, who won the tickets to FanFest. And Mopar, I should point out on the chat, it's the contest line number I had a problem with. It's not the general number.
No, not the general number.
Not the general number.
And we only say the contest just started, meaning the last 2 weeks.
Yeah,
right?
and also
so it's not a number you rattle off often.
I'm from Northeast Philly. We talk very fast and with our hands.
I think Philadelphia people in general talk with their hands.
I'm trying to figure out why I talk with my hands. I think it's just nature around here.
No, it's Springford.
My dad does. You ever see my dad?
No. Oh, that is true.
That's true.
That is true. Yeah. I love Jim, but yeah, he talks with his hands.
Oh, totally.
Has anybody at the station going to stop doing that?
Mm-mm.
No? Okay.
That'd be taking something away from his.
No. I'm just saying, I know sometimes there's micromanagement in.
No, not with him.
We have text on the Philly situation and also on the greatest player debate. Ray, how about some text?
All right. Anthony in St. Pete checking in on the Phillies situation. With the infield set for 5+ years, there's nowhere for Miller to go. Until then, I'd trade him tomorrow for a slugging center fielder. In 5 years, they will be in need of rebuilding the outfield.
That's fair. I get it at that point. I mean, it's the big moral dilemma. The guy could get away and he could be somebody really good. He's blocked at this point. I mean, unless they're deciding that Alec Boehm's not the long-term future, which, by the way, his defense has been awful in the last 3 weeks. And I know there were some excuses yesterday about Ben Davis made some excuses about how he got blocked on the. No, come on, you're a big leaguer. Make the play. So, anything else? I'm sorry.
Joe in Boston checking in, saying there are a lot of capable outfielders that will cost less, and I think he's talking about Luis Robert.
I agree with him.
I could look up to a few texts before from Joe from Boston talk about Taylor Ward or Tyler O'Neill.
I'm not totally convinced that's a huge upgrade, but okay.
Ward isn't. O'Neill at his best.
Arozarena's the guy for me. And I know what you're saying. He struggled this year, but Arozarena's the guy. I like his playoff experience. He actually is a pretty decent outfielder. I'm perfectly fine with Arozarena. He kind of splits that middle of upgrade from Marsh, but not probably having to break the bank.
I think that's going to be their sweet spot for this trade. I really don't think they're breaking the bank. Just gut feeling on that one. That is just me kind of just...
I don't know. They've kind of saved all their prospects the last 2 years. They didn't do a lot in the offseason. I mean, I think Dave's...
When you're as good as they are you pressured to have to make a move? Because if you don't, it looks like even though you're one of the top 2 teams in the league.
And it's a fine line, I think, that Dombrowski has to walk because so much of it also involves clubhouse chemistry.
Yeah. So I'm just saying, does he have to make a move?
I think we're at a point right now that this is a big enough glaring weakness.
Okay.
He has to make a move.
All right.
But
you see what I'm saying.
Right. In fact, do we have the Zalecki clip on Castellanos? This is Todd Zalecki about Nick Castellanos earlier in the week and talk about how Castellanos could impact the trade deadline.
And I think the Phillies have been hoping to see is that the offensive production in the outfield will turn around at some point, that you'll see Nick Castellanos get on track. He was actually kind of turning it around until the Baltimore series, and he just went hitless in Baltimore. So I don't really see a ton of huge holes other than right now you're going to get Castellanos going, and that could kind of impact how they approach the trade deadline.
Yeah, I think to me, they're going to still need another guy. I mean, I don't know if you could do 2 platoons in the other 2 spots.
You operate as if Castellanos isn't going to get it going, in my mind.
I think that's fair after what I've seen the last 3 years.
Like to me,
2.5 seasons.
That's just the way I would operate. Just the thought process with the outfield production.
Yeah, because how much of a sample do you need before you make your conclusion of who somebody is?
Right. And I mean, it wasn't all him in the NLCS. All of them went cold that time. But hey, if I got one more really solid bat in that lineup, I really hope that you don't have six or seven guys go cold that way again.
I know he's up and down. Like, to me, we're going to talk about that contract as one of the worst in Philadelphia sports history. I really believe that.
He puts that with Tobias, I think.
I think it can be as on that level.
I mean, it can be on that level, absolutely. I think it really has been on that level, aside from 4 months.
The only thing that's been a pleasant surprise with him is he's been a better defender than I think most of us expected.
And more friendly to the media, or like his interviews are kinder.
A little bit. Yeah, I'll give you that. But to me, for the value you've gotten from him, it's just not been there. And, Tobias, I know, is easy to pick on around here.
Easy to pick on. I got news for you. He's not going to get a max deal, but after the max contracts, somebody, I don't know what kind of money he can get, but if somebody gives him a mid-level, he's a steal at a mid-level. I'm just telling you.
He's a guy in a different role with a different team that I imagine is going to be productive.
I'm going to bring this up actually when we get to the noon hour, because I don't rule out him being back here.
No, I told you.
I don't.
It's going to be at a price that he won't like. But.
Right. He starts screaming.
Oh boy, going to be an interesting July.
These phones will ring off the hook if that happens. I think we all agree. I think we all. Agree.
But I'm going to ask you. So I'll get the mid-level numbers just so I'm absolutely on target. And when I give the number, I want to ask the people at that number, and I'll give them the other people who are available at that position, and tell me who you'd take at that number.
We'll get to that at noon. When we come back, we'll do the greatest player thing, which I had kind of blocked for this segment, and I totally screwed it up. 610-632-0975.
We went on a tangent. That's all.
Yeah, we did.
Have.
We did.
That's fun.
We did.
Yeah.
Sometimes you do. It's summer.
Yeah.
You just start talking, and it just happens.
Exactly.
With D. Lynam, I'm Kevin Cooney and Ray Dunn. With D. Lynam and Ray Dunn, I'm Kevin Cooney on 97.5 Fanatic. I love that every return is born to run. I do.
Exactly how Bob wants it.
I know. He's got great taste.
But there's so many other Springsteen tunes. I had to have a playlist that was all Springsteen, which I'm a Springsteen, like, middle of the roader.
Mm-hmm.
Bob's like,
yeah,
heavy.
I'm that way.
Yeah. So I always had a Springsteen playlist for the road, just in case I'm in a car with Cooney or whatever.
Makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. Just trying to keep your road friends happy.
Exactly.
Cooney, sports writer, Springsteen, all works together.
It's part of the initiation.
Is it?
Oh, yeah. You have to sing Jersey Girl, you know. You just have to stand there, you know.
It's all right. It's good music. I'm not gonna get upset with anyone on it.
No.
I'm not the fanatical that
Bob and I are. No,
yeah,
I get it.
It's good music.
Although
I'm not here to rip it.
I have drawn the line. I'm not going this year. I'm not going.
By the way, I got educated. If you want to see Taylor Swift, you leave the country.
Oh yeah, I've
yes,
because
it's
you
cheaper.
know other it's cheaper because countries a $10 fee to buy your ticket. She was just in Edinburgh, so it's the price of the ticket plus $10. None of this ridiculousness that we have on our
that's insane
sites.
Yeah,
I'm not going to name any one because it's a lot of them.
Yeah, but there's one in particular.
Yeah.
It was wild. Everyone I knew all of a sudden was just in Europe. Like,
to go see her.
Between the Phillies and Taylor Swift.
Yeah. People made the trip. We had a caller that did Taylor Swift Phillies doubleheader.
Yep.
This is like the European summer between the Phillies.
I just was with somebody and she's going to Amsterdam and she's like, I'm not a huge Taylor Swift, but my sister is.
I know a lot of people going to Paris for the Olympics.
Yep, there's another one.
Which I'm not sure I would go to this time.
Oh.
If someone wants to send me to the Olympics, I'll say it. I'm ready to go.
I get it. I'm just not.
I was supposed to be there for Tokyo in 2020.
Oh, you were?
Mm-hmm.
For what? Work
Temple.
or Temple? Yeah.
Still upset over that one.
Wait, what do you mean?
He was supposed
Temple was sending over 5 of us for the Olympics in 2020, and
that
did not happen.
Yeah.
Did not happen. Pandemic.
Which I get.
Yeah.
I get because that was the pandemic, and obviously in 21. Like
Ray, what's your big vacation of the summer?
Next week, I'm going somewhere nice and tropical.
Where?
Aruba.
Oh, I've never been there.
Yeah, first time for me, so I'm excited.
Kev, you know I'm all fired up because I just found out I'm going to Napa for the first time.
Wow. I'm going to Disney.
Nice.
I'm going to Disney.
It's also nice.
It is nice. Pool will be very nice. Epcot will be great.
We might not run into each other for a couple weeks here with the way our vacations are stacking out.
Epcot is awesome.
Epcot's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I already got my dinner.
And Soarin' is my favorite ride.
I'm going there. I already got my dinner reservation at L'Icia. It's the Canadian Steakhouse. So
look at you.
I know.
Very nice.
We got the dining plan.
Ooh.
Yeah. It's costing us 2 nights worth of dining to go to that one place. So.
Yeah, I mean.
That's fine.
Kind of checks out.
Yeah, it's fine.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
All right. Greatest living players has been the topic we've kind of kicked around here. I was with the idea that the NHL were conceding as Gretzky.
No brainer.
Baseball with the Willie Mays thing.
Do we concede that it's Bonds since Willie is deceased?
Well, do you have another suggestion there?
I was thinking Griffey, but that I feel like you go the first 10 years of the career, and then after that, like the counting stats get there because of the rest of the career.
It's funny because most of my life it was DiMaggio or Ted Williams, and then Willie kind of became the guy. Koufax, I think, would be kind of for the older generation.
Yeah.
Would be that guy. Personally, I think Bonds was the best overall player, but Griffey would be an interesting conversation on that.
Yeah, Griffey's just one that comes to mind. That's not Bonds. Like when we talk about Bonds, I mean, he was a Hall of Famer before steroids.
Yeah, he was.
Like that to me is also, I think, and I think you said this in the crossover this morning with Connor and Andrew, of like, I think you voted for Bonds, right?
I voted for Bonds.
Because it didn't take the steroids to make him a Hall of Famer. It just was another level of...
But Koufax is the one that's going to be Koufax is like the last link to the Mays generation, if you will. I guess Johnny Bench, if you really want to go, but even that was a little not as tangible.
Mm-hmm.
Pete Rose will get some consideration.
I would say that's the one I was going to bring up.
But I don't know. Like Pete was a
I think if
was
you
a
put it
singles
out
hitter
there,
and defensively
Bonds
was
wins.
awful. Yeah.
If you put it out there,
If
I think
we put it out
Bonds
there,
would
Bonds will win.
Yeah.
And NFL, it's Brady and Montana.
It's definitely Brady. Come on.
Yeah, I think at this point it's Brady. I think Brady.
By the way,
I'm
he looks like Ken the Barbie doll now. Did you see?
Yeah.
They're rolling him out on Fox like every day.
Getting us
prepping
ready.
them for the season, but so much fake.
The one joke at his expense at the roast, they said he can't smile anymore. Is true.
It's true.
It does kind of look like his face kind of got stuck in whatever work he had done.
See, I don't know.
It's the face. It's the hair. It's the teeth.
It's everything.
It all looks fake.
I know we're on the top of the hour here, or getting to the top of the hour. Do you think he'll be a great broadcaster?
I don't know. I love his knowledge, but I don't know if he knows how to just be Tom.
No.
Right? No?
I'm not looking forward to it. I'll be honest.
See, I like Greg Olson so much that it's
That's going to be a big problem for him.
Yeah, because people loved Greg.
yeah. And,
Olson was good.
and honestly, I love Burkhardt. I think Burkhardt can
And he
save
did the
him.
job well.
And Burkhardt can save him. Burkhardt is good enough play-by-play that he can pull him out of it. But
There's an awkwardness to Brady when he speaks.
that too.
And I mean, when you're getting paid to speak for a living, it's going to be a problem.
I'll still take him better than Romo.
That shows where we're at with Romo.
Oh my God.
How much studying do you think Romo did this summer?
None.
Zero.
Zero. How much
It's a
study?
shame. When he entered the league, he was really, really good that first
How much?
year.
How much studying do you think Romo's going to do that first game on that Friday night? Basically, not the Eagles game, but like on that Friday night. How much studying do you think Romo would have done on the game he has that Sunday?
What we used to call at Temple the all night at the tech center.
Oh my God.
You just go to the tech center and you try and absorb as much as you can.
Exactly. 610-632-0975. When we come back, we'll get to the Sixers. Some things that were said this week by Paul George and some comments whether the James Harden situation could come in to bite Daryl Morey. I'm Kevin Cooney. It's D-Line. Ray Dunn has the update here on 97.5 The Fanatic. 12:02 on a Thursday afternoon, halfway through middays here on 97.5 The Fanatic. I'm Kevin Cooney. Some people mistake me for Chris Carlin. That's D. Lynham.
I don't know who I get mistaken for.
That's Ray Dunn, who is mistaken for Ray Dunn.
Mistaken for a college kid, probably. Yeah. Every time I walk around here, I do sometimes, especially dressed like this today, sometimes I feel like, it's like, is he shadowing around here?
Yeah, the intern.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll get down to the Sixers conversation we had talked about. Paul George has his own podcast because they all have their own podcast at this point. And he was on talking about how players decide or players talk to one another about the reputation that goes around about certain teams and everything. And here's Paul George.
It's business. So it's now, business. It's business. You see stuff with, James and the guy in Philly and other stuff, other players, but it's business, man. And
a reputation standpoint, you want guys
make
to
y'all
feel welcome,
good to make you know why I got. So I didn't cut. So let me go practice on that.
Right. Believe it or not, players talk. You know what I mean, and then reputation go around. Like, hey man, I don't know about going to this place because watch your back.
Careful.
You know what I mean?
Ugh.
That's the conversations you have.
Yeah.
You get there. Hey, nice to meet you.
Yeah.
All right, so this leads into what Keith Pompey wrote about the possible complication of Paul George playing with James Harden, the way it ended for James Harden in Philadelphia with Daryl Morey. How much, do you think this is a concern as we get to 1 week, less than a week till the draft, and then basically 2 weeks until we get into free agency?
Well, two things. First of all, I mean, if you're going to say people talk, James has a reputation of his own.
Right.
Right? So he did what he did to get out of Houston. He did what he did to get out of Brooklyn. He did what he did to get out of Philly. So if we're talking, there's two sides to that conversation. I will say that through the whole Sam Hinkie era here, which was trusting the process, trying to come out of that era was incredibly difficult.
Right.
And the new Lakers head coach, rumored, was really the first person that broke that mold. Nobody wanted to come here.
Right.
And JJ got paid.
Overpaid.
Overpaid for 1 year.
Right.
And good for JJ to take the money. I mean, he made $21 million for that. So I think it's more the reputation of the organization. To me now, I mean, when I see Embiid and a Maxey, now, if you're saying we're not going to get through the Celtics, then shame on you. Because I think if you are a high-level guy, I'd want to take my chances with those two. And I don't, they have a beautiful practice facility. I will say I've been told a big thing that holds people from coming here is the building. Mm-hmm. The building is nowhere near up to snuff of any of the other ones around the league.
And that's after locker room renovations that have...
Yeah, and I mean, it's been updated for the fan to look at the arena and whatnot, but the locker rooms are... And they have been updated, but there's just no space, and it's not...
Yeah, it's a broom closet.
It's not what the Clippers are going to open up this year.
No.
It's not what Golden State just opened. I mean, these are state-of-the-art facilities. And so I think if you want to talk about the talk, I don't think it's so much the departure of Harden and Daryl Morey. I think it's more about the accommodation.
What do you think talks more, money or reputation?
I mean, money talks, obviously, I think loudest, unless you have a resume, and what is the one thing not on your resume? And, Paul, you don't have it. And that's a championship. Kawhi has it.
Yeah.
Kawhi can do whatever the heck he wants. Harden doesn't have it.
And he's still going to do whatever he wants.
Right, because money matters more there.
Right.
Yeah. But I'm just saying, for the ones who truly, like I think back in the day when Karl Malone went to the Lakers, I think he truly believed he was going there to get a ring. It didn't work out.
I do worry, though, that what happened last year, and look, there's different versions depending on who you're listening to on whether it was promised, whether it was not, the max deal that, you're right. James Harden has a reputation as well, and it's not great. But I do worry that players will automatically favor
take the player side. Yeah. No, I hear you. Well, the one thing, this year it's different, and maybe the players should thank Harden for it. But Harden felt like he got dissed because they weren't discussing his money before June 30th. Last year, you weren't allowed. And they had been penalized the year before that for doing it. So
and that's why the Siakam deal was basically announced yesterday, that Indiana was allowed to go.
Well, as soon as the finals were over, the next day you were allowed to negotiate with your own guy, which was that's new this year.
Right.
I can't talk to Ray's guys, but I can talk to my guys.
Right.
So Siakam is done.
But Harden would have fallen under that. He's one of our guys. So
but that rule didn't exist last year.
No. But if it was this year,
yes,
they could have pretty much solved it.
Correct. And so what he felt last year was, wait a minute, why are we not getting this done? Because I think most people feel like these conversations have always taken place before they were allowed. And, depending on what year and what team got in trouble.
Right.
And then had to pay, in this case, was draft picks. But I think most players felt that those negotiations always took place even when they weren't allowed. And Harden just expected that should have happened for him.
So if Embiid, we've talked about the idea that people have wondered, well, why hasn't he been able to recruit others in here? And obviously he did P.J. Tucker, but, he's not been the magnet for somebody. Normally when a player is as good as Embiid's been, he draws players in that wants to play with him. Why do you think it's not worked here with that? Is it organization? Is it building? Is it the turnover at the GM spot that they've had, and honestly, even head coach?
Well, Daryl's going to be here for a while.
No, but I'm saying that they've had over this previous tenure until Daryl's kind of stabilized it.
Yeah. And probably Colangelo would have been here for a long time.
If he didn't find the Twitter account.
Yeah, it didn't happen. I go to the fact that their Camden Place is a state of the art, and what they provide for players there, from the
food,
eating,
right?
Your dry cleaning, your massage, your workouts. You don't want for anything there. I don't know. I'd have to, maybe you go and you ask people. A lot of people would probably tell you with their name not on the record.
And this is something I think Ray will learn more as we get through this summer. And honestly, the power of Embiid at the Olympics with some guys, we'll find out if it's Joe or if it's
and I
issues.
think that him sitting next to Paul George in the finals, that's the first time that I ever felt like maybe somebody would say he flat out did ask for P.J. Tucker, but that PJ was not a game changer.
Yeah, different levels here, the PJ and PG.
PJ was just, he wanted some toughness in his locker room.
Right.
That's what that was about. But this is really going to be the first time where he has an opportunity. Now, the Olympics is too late.
Right.
But what it does do, gives him the opportunity to say, hey, dude, if you get unhappy and you're going to demand a trade,
hey,
here's the place to come. We can have those conversations.
Certain guy in Phoenix, maybe?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
What?
Just the idea of having Katie on my basketball team.
Good or bad?
By the way, he chimed in on the Caitlin Clark situation.
Did he?
Yeah.
I missed Katie's response on that.
He said there were better alternatives to Caitlin Clark that didn't get picked either.
Which, by the way, do you both know that they lost 10 sponsorships or advertisers?
Really?
By the way, also
by her not being on the team.
Also, one other thing here, KD also chimed in on somebody, because he's a part owner of the union.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Somebody had said about why aren't you spending money? And KD's like, that's not my fault. Basically yelling at him because the union, they feel, are not spending all the money they can.
And they just sold.
They sold the player.
Yeah, to the Dutch.
But they haven't put all the money in that they needed to.
I got you.
Ed in Elkins Park. Ed, you're on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Yeah, here's my choice of greatest living players. Michael Jordan, Gretzky. I'll take Ken Griffey Jr., and I'll also take Jerry Rice. And the fifth one is playing tonight at 8 o'clock, Messi. He's playing for Argentina against Canada. He's the only active player, though.
Yeah, and
those are my 5.
I appreciate it. Thanks for the call. I don't know with MLS's history in this country. I don't know if I feel qualified enough for soccer at this point.
He is right, though. Messi of the living.
Jerry Rice isn't it? We're talking about Brady. Jerry Rice is like, because we so focus on quarterbacks. Jerry Rice and Lawrence Taylor would be another one that you would throw into the NFL conversation as well.
They're great answers. I do think with the importance of the position in the sport, it's inevitably
and the number
of
rings.
Yeah,
and that when he left, he still got another. Meaning left Boston.
You're not having me rip down Brady at this point. Any argument against Brady at this point has been thrown out the window.
But I think it's an interesting conversation. Like, the one thing against Koufax is the idea that Koufax only pitched every 4th day at that point. In football, you can look legitimately at other positions and maybe throw them into the mix. Might as well get it out there. LeBron or Jordan?
Yeah, it would be a very hard one in my opinion.
You are.
I didn't see Jordan.
Yeah,
I'll walk that one right there.
My knee jerk reaction would be I gotta say Jordan because he did it first.
And Jordan has 6 rings.
And to be honest, how are we not saying Kobe in there somehow?
Well, unfortunately, Kobe not living.
That's right. I'm sorry. Oh God.
That's
terrible.
That's just the.
Well, no, but if Kobe was alive, Kobe would be.
Would he be in the conversation? I feel like he's like. I think it always goes between Michael and LeBron, and Kobe gets left out.
I think it would be. I think it would be more of a 3-way conversation.
You do?
Yeah, I do. I think, especially with this generation, was so tied in with Kobe. Or there was, and especially this generation, a player who idolized Kobe as much. I think it would be more from the players saying how Kobe.
I think I saw a post from the Mamba mentality is what it's under, but that Gigi I think would be going into her freshman year
of high school.
No,
college.
College.
No.
Yes. She was 12 or 13.
Yeah.
She would be going into her freshman year of college.
Yeah, because it's been 4 years.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Isn't that unbelievable?
Oh, I feel old. 610-632-0975. Ron in media. Ron, you're on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Good morning, guys and ladies.
Thank you,
Ron. I didn't listen to all the show, but you guys really mixed it up as far as what I heard out at the doctors and in Walmart.
Okay.
But question for you guys. I'm really not too informed right now about the draft. When is the draft, and where do the Sixers pick?
They pick at 16 in the first round, and the draft is this coming Wednesday and Thursday. They broke it up for the first time, and they're going to do the first round on Wednesday and the second round on Thursday.
Thanks, Bronny.
So who do you think is likely the Sixers will pick? They're at 16.
So by doing some research, Daryl Morey is not a huge fan, I would say, of picking in the middle of the draft.
Right.
So it would not surprise me if he uses that to do something different.
I agree. And there's one more thing. Are you going to be at this fan fest? I missed you last one because my son's game was away. It was in Phoenixville, and it didn't end until after 2 o'clock.
I intend to be there. Do we know what the date of it is?
Yeah, it's September 28th. And Ron, I appreciate it. Thanks for calling. September 28th.
I will be there.
Yeah, we're hoping both to be there. Last year we were back here. We were the designated survivors in case something happened.
You stopped by early, though. I
did.
Yeah, I was going to say. I remember hanging out with you there.
Yeah.
I did not. I was back here.
I hope to see you there this year, Kevin.
I'm hoping to be there, too.
It's a fun time.
It is.
Have you done it?
I have not.
I was going to say, because if you were here last year, I'm trying to work back in my head, because I think you got
December
here
of
after.
the following year.
Yes.
So,
all right, first fan fest for Kevin Cooney.
Yeah,
Let's go.
I know. And people,
I do like that it's in the fall now. When we used to have it in August, there was some hot.
It was a warm one last year, too.
I can't wait for everybody to come up to me and go, "Hi, Bob. How are you?"
Identical twin cousin.
Identical twin cousin. Again, the worst part of that was when I went on a job interview, and the first words were, "Hi, Bob."
That's not good, Kev.
No, it wasn't.
Probably got a good cup of coffee out of that, right? Lunch.
I walked around Broad and Wolf for like an hour and a half in a suit at 100-degree heat. So no, it wasn't a great experience.
No, it doesn't sound it.
No.
I have a question. What did either of you think of the Celtics boarding a plane to celebrate in on the heels of their championship as opposed to staying in their own city?
And the parade is what? Tomorrow, I believe.
I mean, they'll be at the parade.
Yeah.
What do you think? I think it's going to be something teams do moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, if you're offering me to go to Miami to celebrate, I don't think I'm really turning that one down.
No. I would think, I'm surprised it's not Vegas, to be honest. That's the only other option.
Oh, South Beach, come on.
South Beach, I hate to say.
Let me just say, maybe not for you, but I'm telling you.
I was just going to say, South Beach to me I wasn't exactly a great South Beach guy.
Well, I'm telling you, there's a reason they went to Miami.
Oh, I'm
sure.
South
Beach is.
Yeah, I would go down to South Beach.
They went to go see James Harden, right?
James Harden and LeBron and DeMar, they were all at a concert last night. I didn't know that.
They were at, the Kendrick Lamar concert last night, yeah.
All right, so speaking of...
Was that Bronny next to... I couldn't tell, it was dark. Next to LeBron?
I only saw a picture of LeBron, so I didn't see any...
Okay.
Yeah, I just saw LeBron was there.
Which leads me to LeBron point. Rich Paul was apparently on somebody else's podcast, because, again, everybody has a podcast.
Except me.
Except, yeah, we can work on that.
I used to have it.
I have one. I had one with my buddy Mike Kern. Seriously? So Rich Paul's quote is saying that it's not an either or. If Bronny gets drafted, then LeBron's going to go. And there's no way that there's been rumors that LeBron would sign with the Suns on the minimum if Bronny was drafted in the first round. That tells me, though, that it doesn't sound like LeBron's married to going back to the Lakers, no matter who the head coach is, even if it is your podcast partner. Which I do find interesting. That I know Rich Paul's trying to play some gamesmanship here, but this is a little further down the line than I thought.
Well, let me just say, it will be a huge part of the draft conversation.
It's the only thing about this draft I think that's interesting, to be honest. Top of the draft's not good.
No, it's not. I mean, Atlanta getting that first pick, what do you do with it? You know? It's
like
not a Wemby.
No.
There's not a Wemby out there.
It's almost like you get Markelle Fultz Jr. Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm just saying, Jason Tatum was in that draft.
I know.
So please.
I get it. But,
there's not a single, I don't think there's a single, slam dunk prospect here. Even Fultz at the time, when you're making that draft pick.
He wasn't a slam dunk.
Well, he was the consensus number one at that time.
No, that's not true.
Who was it? Wasn't it?
Well, Danny Flatout was taking Tatum at number one if he stayed in that pick.
That's true.
Yeah, okay.
He was. So that's not consensus.
Celtics, okay, fair. Not consensus.
Yeah.
There, a lot of people at that time believe Fultz.
Who went two?
Was that Ball? Is that the Lonzo? That same draft?
Yeah, that was Ball. That was Ball because
went to the Lakers.
Yeah,
Ball went to the Lakers. I'm thinking. I thought for a second it wasn't. I wasn't sure if it was Ball or Ingram, but Ingram went in the Simmons draft.
That was
Ingram,
the Simmons draft.
So not consensus, but I mean hype. There's not hype. There's not a hype prospect the same way. I don't see a prospect in this draft that has driven the narrative the way Fultz is driven. Even though the Sixers aren't involved in those top picks, I don't think an Atlanta fan base is energized by the prospects, by the different players available this year, the way that the conversation was driven. The entire draft conversation this year has pretty much been Bronny.
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh, yeah. But not because he's going to be
right. No, but
the
it's
best
not
player.
But that I think
it's driven by Bronny because he's LeBron's son, and by the fact that LeBron can be a free agent, and if you take the son, you have the possibility of getting LeBron.
I'll ask you this: if Bronny James's last name was Bronny Smith, would he even be in this draft?
No.
Okay.
No.
Which is why, this whole idea of people drafting him is just I don't want the Sixers to draft him either way.
I've seen some people say that he could be, a really good role player. Maybe you're gonna have to wait how far down the line do you want him to become like somebody who's contributing?
Right.
Because if you can only average 2.5 points in college, how much damage are you doing against real? I mean, we're talking in the WNBA, Caitlin's getting killed. And she actually set historic numbers in college.
Right,
Bronny can't even be just a regular guy in college.
No, and obviously he also has the health scare too, which has to be a level of concern. I mean, I know he got cleared, but let me put it this way: if I'm an organization, I'd be worried about it. I still would, even with the clearance, because it's popped up once, and you don't know if it's ever going to happen again. 610-632-0975. Alex and Dom, we'll get to you on the other side. We're talking more Sixers. We'll talk a little more Phillies if you want. We'll get some more text as the afternoon goes along. Ray Dunno has the update on 97.5 The Fanatic. We've hit NBA silly season where rumors are going to fly, and Mike Vito just came in and said that there's a report that Zach LaVine is now being dangled out there by the Chicago Bulls, and a lot of interest. And, of course, in the NBA, the other one was Brandon Ingram apparently is being...
I like that one.
You do?
I do. I would definitely have a conversation about that. I'm reading some of the reactions. The first one, hang up the phone. I agree with the person who says I think he'd be a perfect match on this team. I'm of that mind.
Now, on Ingram, Kelly Eco from The Athletic reported the Pelicans are dangling the forward, although Houston rejected moving Alperen Sengun for the Duke product. New Orleans has reached out to Philadelphia in such discussions as well.
Yeah, like, could you do a sign and trade with Tobias? Would even they be interested in that?
What do you think the odds are Tobias could be here?
I think...
Assuming that George doesn't come in and, a trade like this doesn't happen.
It's not going to be for the money that he made before, and it's not going to be... I don't think Daryl's going to do long-term deals with anybody unless he's paying a max guy like a Paul George.
Yeah, I would agree on that.
I think the rest of them are going to be...
You could almost see a repeat of this year where he just kind of kicks the can down the road for a year.
Well, because I think it's important to him to keep his options open for, like I said, hey, if you become disgruntled, Embiid have that conversation. Or if somebody, we're talking about the trade deadline for baseball right now, but if you're out of it in February,
right,
and you see no reason to continue on with your star and you realize that you need to do a reset, moving a guy that could help you, Daryl will put himself in position to be able to use assets and or have flexibility because he's not locked into these long-term contracts.
I think the only thing that makes me scared is after watching what happened last year, the market never developed that he thought, I think, would happen.
Well, you knew what the market was for free agency.
Right.
I mean, you knew what that was going to be.
But I'm saying the market at trade deadline did not happen the way I think he thought it would.
No, I think he knew exactly what was out there. I think it's the same, as T-Mac said, that the trade deadlines aren't what they once were when
they're not.
Big deals happened. Occasionally, but...
Right. 610-632-0975, talking baseball with the trade deadline and obviously about a month away, kind of where you would, how often or how much would you part to make everything work? We should point out the 12 o'clock hour is brought to you by Service First Heating and Air Conditioning. Get 0% financing for 72 months and $500 rebate when you purchase a complete heating and cooling system from Service First. Learn more at servicefirst.hvac.com. Alex in Philly has been patient. Alex, you're on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Yeah, hey, good afternoon. So in regards to your question, hopping on with the prospect, the easier answer is really depending on what you're getting back. But as far as ranking the prospects, I don't think much of Crawford. I don't think he's ever going to hit for power, so you kind of just have a contact-hitting center fielder that doesn't hit for much power, so he's more.
Yeah, but if you have power, Alex, if you have power in other spots of your life, have that.
You can, but I don't think he's so special in other aspects that he would be something that I would really ever hesitate about dealing with to improve my team. The other two guys definitely, more value. Painter, I put the most, value on just because I think it's harder to find a potential 1A starter than anything really in the sport. So he would be the most value for me. Look, if it's Kyle Tucker, I don't, look, that's the name you've heard maybe once or twice mentioned. Would seem like a long shot, but if Houston does reset, all three of them, I would not hesitate to put all three of them in a package and not blink my eye. That's a guy that's, immediately solves your biggest problem and is a middle of the lineup MVP guy in his prime, a potential MVP guy, top 5 MVP guy in his prime, that you can compete for World Series for the next few years. So that would be it. But if it's like Luis Robert, then I would definitely take Painter off the table. Miller, maybe if it was him and not much else. But I said that would be the one I want to upgrade. I want an everyday outfielder that because I look and I just think that, the best case scenario would be you have a guy that you're going to have that would be an outfielder for the team starting in the middle of the lineup for the next few years. And Castellanos is going to kind of go into a platoon, fourth outfielder situation until his contract's out.
Right.
And you upgrade that spot. So that's the way I look at it. But no, not for a reliever. For like a reliever upgrade, I would take those top two guys, Painter and Miller. I would not touch either of those in that kind of deal.
All right, Alex, thanks for the call. I would say the one thing, I really highly doubt that Tucker's going to be available. Houston, 1, does not give up easy. 2, you still have Tucker, I believe, Ray, for 2 more years after this? He's got 2 of arbitration, I think.
Yeah, I think he's still got some decent club control on him.
I mean, they're not going to go, okay, it's all over, we're going to break everything down. I mean, look, you want to tell me Alex Bregman, who's going to be a free agent the offseason, that he'll go? Yeah. Could I see Justin Verlander? Now with him not healthy, I don't know. But could I see Verlander being traded for assets? Sure. But I don't think I would see Kyle Tucker at this point. Presley will be interesting. Presley's the one guy from Houston I think that really fits what the Phillies want, and he would seem like he would be available at his age, too.
You'd imagine so. And listen, if they're dangling him out there, I'm definitely on the phone.
Plus, you also have Josh Hader, who, as your closer. So it's not like you're kind of taking a huge step back.
How much do you think it's going to take for them to really give up?
Oh, I'd say another 3 weeks like this.
6 games under right now. You get to this point.
They're what, 6?
All-Star break?
6.5 back of the wild card, I think.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, but that's a division with the playing a lot of games against the Angels and the A's. You can make a good run. Look, Seattle's going to run away with that division. I mean, the Mariners don't even have a great lineup. But the Mariners' pitching is so good that they're going to probably win the division. It's a question of whether Texas or Houston kind of gets it together. By the way, I guess Dusty Baker can manage a little, huh? Yeah. Dusty leaves and they go to hell.
Turns out maybe he knew a thing or two.
That's why he looks at the roster. Looks at the roster. Hey, boys, I'm out. Bye. See ya.
This has been fun.
I got my ring. See ya.
He got his ring.
That's right. Make sure the YouTube camera gets that one.
Yeah, please. Focus in on D's ring. Go ahead. There you go.
Where's my name? Right here.
Yeah, right there.
It says line.
Okay. 610-632-0975. Dom. Tasty Cake Dom. How are you, Dom?
Hey, Kev. Hi, D. How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
These conversations that you have, Kev, are always so interesting.
Try telling that to my wife.
Well, I think you and D do a great job. And the funny thing about it is when you do this, like what I'm about to say, by no means, like I went pretty chalk, right, Kev? I went Jordan, I went Brady, I went Gretzky. But when you stretched it to 3 Kobe LeBron, I mean, when you brought Kobe in.
Well, I did that by accident.
As tremendous he is, he ain't the best Laker of all time. Kareem is the greatest Laker of all time to me. True. I mean, Kobe is, and you say that, D, and I don't want to. Kobe was so tremendous, but I'm 60, D. Kareem, you got that ball 6 feet in.
Yeah,
you're done. That skyhook was unstoppable.
It is interesting that he does not get talked about in conversation.
I was just going to say, Kareem. I think because of the way with Magic, when I was a kid, Magic coming in and kind of becoming the face of that franchise.
Sure.
Yep.
I almost wonder if that spoils my appreciation of what Kareem was for the Lakers.
Yeah, I love Magic. I think Magic's right up there too. He's top 5 to me all time. He couldn't win without Kareem. Detroit beat them. That Showtime Lakers couldn't win without Kareem.
That stretch of the NBA where it was.
Well, who's better, Magic or Larry?
Well, D, Larry Bird. No, wait, you give an opinion, D, and you always feel like you're slighting the other guy. Larry Bird is an assassin.
Exactly.
But to me, it will always be Magic.
Great, but well, I guess it's
Tom,
also.
I appreciate it. Thanks for the call.
It's also what do you weigh in when you say the greatest? I mean, winning should be part of the formula.
And also, I think the one thing that kind of made Magic gives Magic a slight leg up on Larry is the idea that Magic made everybody around him better in a sense of because of his job. He was a ball distributor as much as a scorer. Larry was the focal point. Like everything funneled into Larry. Magic tended to break it out to everybody else. I mean, James Worthy and Kareem, and even if you want to go Byron Scott, and Kurt Rambis for a while.
I mean, I'm just looking at Larry Bird's playoff resume and his statistics in the postseason. Like, are you kidding me?
I will say one thing about the Mays thing that I was thinking about this the other night when all this happened. The time that Willie Mays was around. I mean,
by the way, he was 93.
He was 93.
Let's acknowledge he had a great run.
And poor Steve Levy getting junk on social media because he said gone too soon at 93. I mean, I know what Steve is trying to say. I mean, he was trying
you want people like that around forever.
I will say the one thing about Willie Mays that I find fascinating. He comes into the league 5 years after Jackie Robinson and breaks the color barrier. Okay? Through the 50s and the 60s, when the sport is at its ultimate peak in popularity, and it is the American game, he's a face of it. He plays in New York. He moves to San Francisco. He is beloved across the country. He is beloved among... I remember taking my dad, D. He was doing autograph signing at Franklin Mills Mall, Willie Mays, for they had a card shop in there or something. My dad went with me. My dad was as grizzled an old guy as you could get. He met Willie Mays, and it was like watching my stepdaughter meet Taylor Swift. It was unreal. He crossed all lines because of how great a player he was, at a time when the country was going through political turmoil, the civil rights movement, everything. How beloved he was, to me, was what is so fascinating to see in the last couple of days. And the fact that he was able to kind of realize it for most of his life is pretty remarkable. He did run in. I know there was some racial tension in San Francisco when he first got there, but in San Francisco, he's an icon. I mean, if you're doing the sports Mount Rushmore in San Francisco, he's face number one. And Joe Montana's probably face number two. So, should point that out as. Are you looking forward to this thing tonight? This Rick Wood Field game that they're doing with the Giants and the Cardinals?
I definitely will.
It'll be fascinating to see kind of where the ratings are, and obviously not having the NBA Finals going up against it kind of will probably help baseball out on that. 610-632-0975. When we come back, I want D the GM to sit in this seat. Who would you rather have? We'll play that game. 610-632-0975. I'm Kevin Cooney. It's D-Line, and we're in for Bob Cooney on the Midday Show with Ray Dunn as well here on 97.5 The Fanatic. Hey, the Fanatics deal of the week. Get two $50 gift cards that can be used at over 200 Pennsylvania Campground Owners Association campgrounds for the price of one. Get this exclusive offer while supplies last at 975thefanatic.com/deals. I'm Kevin Cooney. That's D-Line. I'm wearing for Bob Cooney today. Take it at 2 o'clock. Best show ever on tap for that. Breaking uniform news from our buddy Ray Dunn. Ray, give this important update.
Yeah, this is interesting going into what we got going on Friday night, but it's MLB uniform numbers saying that David Dahl is changing from 35 to 31.
They're not going to retire him yet, I don't think. But they're probably just going to take it out of commission.
Which is weird that it came back into commission for Oscar Mercado and David Dahl.
Yeah. It's interesting. Like, because you and I have had this debate, right, in the past about what numbers from that group will get retired. And I think there's an argument to be made for Hamels. I don't know if it'll happen. I would think Rollins and Utley are 1 and 2. And
I don't think they're going to do those two without Howard. Once you get to Howard, you're probably going down the route of Hamels.
Like, I kind of like the fact that it's an exclusive club for the Phillies, that they don't.
How many are retired?
1 for Ashburn, 14 for Bunning, 20 for Schmidt, 34 for Halladay, 36 for Jim Robert Roberts, 32 obviously for Carlton, and I guess 15 they put for Dick Allen a couple years ago. So it is Dick Allen's the only one in there that's not a Hall of Famer. So, and I. Yeah,
well, given the history, you can't take 4 from one era.
I think, given the history of this organization, you should. I mean,
but it would be a change.
Yeah, it would be a change. I think it's a welcome change, given the fact you are the team that lost 10,000 games. Like, you only have 2 world titles. You're not like what's the celebration point in like 15 years when you go to the ballpark of that team, like of the individuals of that team? You have the flags obviously up there for the World Series, but I think that's a celebration for the individuals.
I think they consider their Wall of Fame the place that they can honor people.
But I'll be honest. I think one thing they have to consider is, and the White Sox did this with their 05 team, and they basically made it where they put a statue out there. I think Bobby Jenks was the last out with. Paul Konerko and everything, where they basically did a statue of those guys in that final out. If you want to honor the 08 team, like Carlos Ruiz is going to be a Wall of Fame, but I'm not sure Brad Lidge is going to be. Lidge had one great year here.
Pretty darn good.
It was really good.
It's perfection.
But he kind of was on that borderline, I think.
Well, he sure as heck should be on the wall.
But I think what they'll do is I could see them doing a statue or something of the final out somewhere around
when he dropped
Ashburn.
To his knees.
When he drops to his knees and Chooch, and maybe if you throw Ryan Howard in on that as well. That to me would be like the ultimate tribute for that group.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I think those 4 should be retired.
It's funny. They have not announced who their Wall of Fame inductee is for this year yet.
It is interesting.
What time of year does that happen?
It's first week in August.
And they haven't announced it yet?
They haven't announced it yet. Somebody, I checked in with Paul Hagan, who checked in with the Phillies. They are working on like logistical issues, I think, for the person they want to pick. I think we're at the 08 stage.
It's time for 08. It's time for 08. It's beyond time for 08.
First,
16 years.
We should point out Burrell and Manuel are already in from 08.
Right. But it's time to start rolling through those, especially now that you've had this run that you've had. Because
who's the first guy from 08 you would put in? Assuming not Rollins, the big crew is going to have their own discussion. But like those fringe guys.
Oh, the fringe guys. I think it's going to, it would go in order of probably when you were done with baseball, right? Just for the years, because I think that's the way ultimately they'll try and like block it out of, respect. Like if you're not doing the big guys first, like first guy that would go would be Howard because he was done with baseball first, and then start working down the line of.
Actually, Jimmy was done.
Was he done
first
after 15?
Yeah.
Huh.
When he was with the White Sox that year.
White Sox was 15. I thought the White Sox, for some reason, I thought he lasted.
No, White Sox was Dodgers was 14. White Sox was 15. Because Jimmy's been on 2 Hall of Fame ballots that I've voted on.
I thought he broke the record for hits in
13.
14.
I thought it was 13.
I'll get down the baseball reference.
But anyway, the point being, like, I think one of the first guys you're going to put in is going to be like a Victorino.
All right, are you ready for this?
Go ahead.
For a long time, the Phillies said you needed to be in the Hall of Fame before having your number retired.
Right.
But it wasn't really true. Richie Ashburn's number 1 was retired in 79.
Robin Roberts was ahead of his Hall of Fame, I think, too.
Steve Carlton had his retired by the Phillies in 89, but wasn't elected to the Hall until 94. Robin Roberts, you are correct. And then, of course, they bring up Dick Allen.
Dick Allen and... look.
By the way, they say unquestionably Hamels will be placed on the Wall of Fame by the Phillies. It's just a matter of when. To this point, general manager Pat Gillick, manager Charlie Manuel, and left fielder Pat Burrell are the only 08 Phillies on the Wall of Fame.
And if you look at Chooch is going to be on there, Utley, Rollins, Howard, obviously.
Victorino. Worth is going to be an interesting case study.
He should.
I think he should. I think he should.
But we'll see.
Even though he was a little snippy sometimes when I had to interview him.
Yeah, he could be a handful. He could also be a good guy too, which is
he could.
Yeah. 610-632-0975. Here's Ray with the update on 97.5 The Fanatic. Here on 97.5 The Fanatic, I'm Kevin Cooney along with Dean Lynham and Ray Dunn on the midday show, filling in for Bob. Bob will be back tomorrow. Who's in with Bob tomorrow? Is it?
I believe it is Bill.
It is Bill.
And Bill's with the best show ever today.
And Bill also has Eagles Birds Insiders tonight after that. So a lot of Bill coming up here in the next 6 hours or so. 1 o'clock hour is brought to you by Ferguson HVAC Lyon Conklin. Attention HVAC contractors for equipment, parts, and supplies for every heating and cooling job. Visit one of Ferguson's counter locations in Bensalem, King of Prussia, Pennsauken, or Westchester. All right, so we have some text, actually, as we are dealing with a lot of things here today between Phillies trade talk, between the Sixers with the draft less than a week away, and reminder, Tyrone and D will be there at the Sixers facility on Wednesday night with their draft special, and then Thursday you're back here for the draft. 4 o'clock start.
4 o'clock on Thursday, yeah.
Yeah. It's almost like, why did you push it up? Anyway, that's a whole different story. The question, what are some of the texts we have there, Raymond?
A lot of people checking in here on the greatest living athlete in each sport. Dan from New Jersey checking in. Sorry, no debate. Gretzky, Jordan, Bonds, and as much as I hate to say it, Brady.
I mean, I think they would get heavy hits.
They would get the majority, I think. The Griffey Bond. Baseball's the one that would have the biggest debate.
That combination, those four as a combination would get the most votes. Or most that people would put out.
Oh, I think, lion's share of people would agree on those four.
Yeah. And I think that, you could debate in basketball like we already have.
Yeah.
Nobody's debating anything in hockey.
No.
The great one. Lemieux was great.
Not with the numbers at Gretzky.
No. Another one?
Yeah, Marshall from Florida is looking at the baseball, subject here and saying, how about Albert Pujols?
Boy, Pujols with the Cardinals was really good, but I also had that Pujols with the Angels in my mind, too, and that was not really good. So, yeah.
If there's any debate, it means you can't say the greatest of all.
No. Again, I think in baseball it's down to 3. It would be Koufax, it would be Griffey, and Bonds.
Yeah, Griffey.
So,
continuing on with the conversation here with baseball, Eddie in Camden, is Derek Jeter a no?
Yeah, he's a no.
Yeah, I would agree with that one.
Derek Jeter plays for the Kansas City Royals. We're not even having him in this conversation. Nice player. Just,
I'm with you there.
Right. Kev's kind of hating on the Yankees today.
Oh,
It's
a day that ends in Y.
Yeah, it's a pretty easy target there.
See, I step back, and you have to appreciate.
Oh, I appreciate the history of the Yankees and everything.
Right. Just making sure.
Like, although I will say this.
It's a day that ends in Y. Oh, my.
I will say this. The day the Yankees left Old Yankee Stadium for that shopping mall across the street is when kind of that Yankee thing died a little bit to me. They're not nearly as intimidating now in that new place.
No, I would agree with that.
So
I do miss
Mystique's
the old.
Not there.
Yeah, I miss the old.
Aura has moved down. Aura has moved down up to New England. Really.
Well, guess what? Since the new ballpark, it's Red Sox 2, Yankees
1. Yeah, Red Sox have been more competitive.
There's a couple years in there with the Yankees. I mean, they had the opportunity. They didn't do it, obviously. I mean, I think they've both been
the idea that
pretty consistent near the top.
The idea that we're talking that Soto may not be re-signed by the Yankees because now they're pleading fiscal responsibility is hilarious in my mind.
Yeah, that's also become an interesting thing of this Soto thing. If he doesn't end up a Yankee for the rest of his career, is a colossal failure by them.
Yeah.
I mean, hey, they've got their shot this year, but that's a massive mistake.
Yeah. And by the way, I'm not saying Jeter was a bad player. I mean, he had 3,500 hits. I mean, but again, playing in New York.
We talked about him for a lot during this.
Right. But playing in New York, he was not a great defender. Playing in New York helped him out. He was around the one thing I'll say, he's a winner. I mean, the dude.
Kev, was that a 30 for 30 that I watched on him?
He did his own version of like the the Jordan, The Last Dance kind of deal.
That was it. Okay. Yep. It was very similar.
And it's bitter. It's still bitter, I think, between him and the Yankees. Him and Cashman are still
don't get along.
No, because Brian's very clinical. Brian is very analytical and everything, and Jeter's kind of an old school baseball guy in a lot of ways. That's part of the reason Jeter left the Marlins the way he did. Was Jeter believes in certain ways that it should be run. So
he's still happy enough to walk around their whole Walk of Fame up there 20 minutes before Phillies.
You've been waiting for that one there a few minutes.
I was waiting for you, honestly, to break that one out when you were talking about hating on the Yankees. I know that one, bugged everyone, but...
Well, and that's obviously on Fox. I did love the line of David Ortiz. Yeah, when are you going to be in here? And A-Rod going, you have a better shot of being in this part than I do at this point because of how bad it ended for A-Rod with the Yankees. So, any more?
Yeah, we got Vincent Longcrest saying Bonds would be a Hall of Fame player without roids, but I don't think he would be in the conversation as greatest ever.
Greatest living player. Let's clarify.
Yeah, I screwed that up for you.
No. Greatest living player. Again, we're not dealing with Mantle, Williams, Mays, and we're dealing with a different classification at this point now. In fact, Mike from Delran has an opinion on this. Let's go to Mike here. Mike, you're on 97.5 The Fanatic.
No, what's up, guys? How you doing?
I'm good.
I've been listening a lot about this, and it's cool conversations, but a name that I guess you guys haven't talked about or haven't been brought up yet is if he's living, where's Pete Rose at on that? The guy's the all-time hit leader, right?
We did bring him up.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if he got brought up.
Yeah, we brought him up, but Mike, defensively, he was awful. He got moved around to 5 different positions.
Yeah, but, the guy's the all-time leader. The guy should be in the Hall of Fame, and although he may have cheated with gambling.
That's a big oops.
Well, he didn't cheat the game with steroids. I think there's a difference in the two.
Well, all right, but okay, and I even put the.
Do we know that for a fact?
What?
No steroids.
Well, greenies probably. I'm sure he did the amphetamines that everybody did at that point.
And the other one before I get off was I hate the debate. It happens all the time, and it's going to happen forever. But if LeBron James played in the same era as Michael Jordan did, LeBron James wouldn't be as LeBron James as he is. Michael Jordan's the GOAT of all time, period. Go Birds.
All right, thanks, Mike.
I think Jordan wins for me, he does. But I said that
It's
already.
tough. It's tough to get past 6-0 in the finals.
Yeah.
It is. Every Jordan team that had a shot to win pretty much won.
Yep.
And LeBron has, fairly or not. I don't blame him totally for the Cleveland years because he didn't have the same personnel. But there's people who are bitter that LeBron went to Miami and kind of ring chased there.
He did. Jordan's time in Washington was nothing special.
No.
I don't know if you can really hold, at that time, at that moment when LeBron and Miami and all that happened. Yes, the circumstance of it, him creating that big three
was poorly handled with the way he did the special.
What part? The decision?
The decision.
The Cleveland time. You can't say that was an organization that you thought was going to all just pull it together and put that team around him. The fact that he was already going to be 0-for-1 in finals because of what he went to the finals with. I don't know if I can hold him losing. He got to the finals with that group. To me, that was a Herculean accomplishment in itself.
The year they lost to Boston in the semifinals, or maybe it was the conference finals.
Are we talking his first Cleveland?
Yeah, first Cleveland.
Yeah.
Right before he went to Miami.
Yep.
It got awkward, and obviously him and Dean Gilbert didn't get along at the end of the first time around. Then they patched it up, and I still think, we've talked a lot about Bronny and where Bronny can end up. If Bronny's not finishing his career with the Lakers, I still think there's the one place that it would definitely, to me, kind of fit that he would end up would be back in Cleveland one more time. He has a house in Akron. He has family there. I could see him trying to play a retirement year in Cleveland with the Cavs. And by the way, he could, in theory, get back to a conference final at least with Cleveland.
Yeah, Cleveland has some pieces. Yeah.
That's way more likely to him going to Phoenix. Boy, Phoenix is a mess. Like, we talked about the Durant thing earlier. It wouldn't surprise me if KD asked out by February at this point. I mean, because I don't know where they're going as a franchise.
Well, I mean, you do have Booker. Come on.
You do. But they've also had head coaching issues. They've also had...
Now they have our guy, Wildwood. No, it's not Wildwood.
He's not there anymore. He got fired this year.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, he'll be in Ocean City this year. He'll be hanging with Ray, on the boardwalk.
Vogel wants to go out and hang out in Wildwood. Hey, man,
Vogel
I'm
was.
around.
I think I always say Wildwood, and I'm wrong on that. It's like Hamilton.
Oh, I thought he was Wildwood.
I thought he was Ocean City, to be honest.
No, he's definitely not Ocean City.
Know your Jersey beach towns.
Know your NBA coach.
Know your NBA coaches' beach towns.
Yeah, born in Wildwood Crest and went to Wildwood High School.
Okay. The pride of Wildwood.
Hey, man, you want to sit Keenan's and talk about what it was like to coach that Suns team? I'm in. You let me know. I'm enjoying it. You can join Tyrone and I. Tyrone and I were out in Wildwood over the weekend. So we'll all hang out.
I didn't get an invite.
Were you down in Wildwood?
No, but...
all right, well, there you go.
I would have been there if I knew you guys were hanging out.
He had no idea I was down there until he fired the text off on Saturday.
I always pictured you more as an Avalon guy, by the way. A little more...
You think I'm like hitting the Princeton?
Little Princeton?
Nah, more of a Wildwood guy. Now, we are down the crest, so I will add that caveat to it because people start to get he's down the crest. Not quite the Avalon vibe.
What is Bob? Bob is a Bob has a place down there, correct?
No.
Oh, I thought he did.
No.
I think he was thinking about going to Ocean City this summer.
Okay.
He has gone to Ocean City in the past.
Yeah, I think he's got a friend that's got a
friend who
place
has
down
a
there.
house.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what it is.
On that's right. I'm trying to West Avenue.
Okay.
I had an account over from the beach.
All right. I teased this earlier. I want you to play GM. Ray, I want you in here as well. Okay?
I don't think we're getting GM paychecks, Ray, but we'll play the game.
That's okay. I've been given a lot of titles today. This is pretty great. So I'm going to go update that LinkedIn.
You might as well
what was the one caller said? I talked to that guy on.
Well, no, that's actually Brendan in the back.
Petrelli's that guy. Yeah.
Petrelli is that guy.
That's a good drop.
We don't have that luxury on the weekends, No. Anyway, perfect world. You could have one of these two guys, Paul George or OG Anunoby, for the Sixers situation. Which one are you taking?
I mean, I'm going Paul George. If you're all in, that's how you have to go. If you're thinking more long term and, maybe you can get, obviously, at a lesser price, then you go OG. But I think if you want the here and now, help Embiid and Maxey get to championship possibility, then I would go Paul George.
Right.
Not getting a protest from me on that one. I would go Paul George as well. OG conversation is OG and. If I get Paul George, it's not really, I'm not having an and conversation. I obviously need to field a roster, but Paul George to me in this moment, this window, you get him, I think the fit's right there.
Yeah.
I'm going to go OG end because of the fact that I think that their depth issues really do concern me. And I'd rather have an Anunoby. And plus, I hate saying it this way, but Paul George to me, it kind of the conversation we had with like Luis Robert and everything. Paul George has never been on a team that's been deep or has won in the playoffs, and that scares me a little. I get it. If the guy was...
I mean, if I bring up Charles Barkley, he's going to say, well, he never really did anything in the playoffs. Yeah, that's what you would say. I mean, he had his run to the finals with the Suns.
Right, and he
but you're
made
blaming
a couple conference finals.
Yeah, but I'm
times.
saying you're blaming... It wasn't because Charles wasn't good enough. And if Charles had better teams or players around him...
Here's maybe the better argument. The better argument in my mind is you saw the depth that Boston had.
All right, tell me the depth. Because honestly, it really came down to their starters.
Like I liked the idea of Horford and Porzingis, and obviously their starters were great, but then Pritchard coming off the bench, and you had White there and all that. It felt like they were a deeper team than Dallas. And that's why, I kind of like that model a little bit. It doesn't have to be 4 stars. I need my 2 stars, and I need a lot of other pieces that are going to work well with the rest of the group. That's kind of where I'm at.
Now, you mentioned George and coming up short. Where in Paul George's career do you see him alongside of Maxey and Embiid?
You mean in stages?
Yeah. We've seen...
I also think it's too late. I think that you're going to get Paul George at the very end.
But do you need Paul George at the very peak?
I don't think you're going to get it.
I don't think he's done.
No, I don't think he's done, but I'm telling you, this version of Paul George right now, I think fits into what you have. And I think if you give him, Embiid is the guy here. George is, alongside of Embiid in this case. I think when we get are you getting Paul George at the end? Paul George still has stuff left in the tank, and you're also putting him next to Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey. The Paul George in a vacuum, if you're just putting him on, let's start a team today and let's try out Paul George. Okay, I can see people's concern there, but when you have Maxey and Embiid alongside him, I don't become concerned about that.
But if you sign Paul George, what do you have left to plug in the rest of your roster? That's where my main concern is as well. I've changed your argument, I know, twice or 3 times.
Let me just say, the amount of money that's invested in, Tatum's about to get the Supermax again. They're going to have to do it.
Right.
That's $315. Jalen was signed for $308. Drew Holiday makes a good amount of money per year. I think it's up in the 38.
It's $32 million. I saw it the other night.
Okay. I'm 6 off.
Yeah. No, I'm not criticizing.
I'm just saying, the other teams, they're spending the money. You got to spend the money. You'll find a way to do it.
And I know Windhorst said this the other night, that basically Boston has 1 run left in it of this
Well, they're
group.
running it back, though.
Right. And then after next year is when everything potentially could go to hell for them, because they'll be so top-heavy with salaries. But
I'll take the chances.
I'll take the shot if I was Boston. The Sixers are in a different spot. I don't know why.
Let's just go through. Obviously, the starters for them, you have Tatum, Brown, White, Holiday, and Porzingis when he's healthy.
Right.
So when you're talking about the
bench,
yeah, Al Horford, yes. Pritchard made the unbelievable shot. I'm just asking you. Please, you're talking about depth.
I feel like that they just, maybe because of White and Holiday and Porzingis is, for most teams, they are a 2-guy. And the depth seemed like it fell just better with them.
But I'm saying they started, Kev. They're not. When you're saying depth, depth to me equals bench.
Okay.
So name the names that you. I'm just saying, when you're so worried about how are they going to sign the other people, there'll be people to sign. You can sign minimals. You have mid-level exceptions. You have those kind of things you can work with for the rest of the roster. And I think that for teams that get it right, it is top heavy.
Right.
Of paying your starters, but get it right.
And I guess Luke Cornett would also be in that mix as well, correct? Cornett did see some action for them, but look, you've been a big proponent on the idea that there's more than one way to do this, and it's a matter of finding the right way that it happens. I don't know if Paul George is the answer. I'm probably going to be hesitant until I get to next April about the whole situation.
And when I say, their bench, if you're talking in the regular season, and getting there.
They were able to blow a lot of teams out where their bench would get a lot of moments.
Talking to Charles yesterday, he said, he said all year long, they are the best team in basketball right now. And they were, start to finish.
They were, and next year they're going to be the odds-on favorite, I think, to win it again.
Oh, yeah, because they have everybody signed.
Yeah. It's a nice luxury they got. Brad Stevens deserves a lot of credit for, he was gutsy in his moves this year, and the Marcus Smart move, and Robert.
Well, getting Porzingis and Holiday were huge.
Right. Got rid of Brogdon, obviously, which I think a lot of people kind of did a little side eye when it happened, but it worked. So 610-632-0975. We'll get back on the Sixer conversation. We'll also get back to the Phillies conversation. The Twitter question, which we'll check in the results here. If you could only protect one Phillies prospect in a trade, which one would you choose? Make sure you go to the 97.5 the Twitter account and vote on that before we get on out of here for the day. I'm Kevin Cooney. It's along with D. Lynham. We are here for Bob Cooney. Ray Dunn has the update on 97.5 The Fanatic. In the home stretch here on 97.5 The Fanatic, along with Ray Dunn and D. Lynam. I'm Kevin Cooney, in for Bob Cooney today. Bob will be back tomorrow. 610-632-0975. Also, a reminder, FanFest 2024 with FanDuel. Saturday, September 28th at Xfinity Live. All the Fanatic hosts, celebrity guests, Philly sports legends, activities, games, prizes, and so much more. Biggest party of the year for Philadelphia sports fans. Listen all week and this weekend to win tickets, including right now. If you call the contest line at 215-263-0975, caller number 8, in honor of Cal Ripken, my favorite baseball player of all time, will get 2 tickets to FanFest for September 28th at Xfinity Live.
I can't wait.
Oh, I thought you were going to comment about Ripken being my favorite player of all time.
No, that's okay. I just can't wait for FanFest. Every time we bring it up, I get more and more excited.
Except for I don't want the end of summer to be here yet.
It's a good point. It's a really good point. I can't wait for the actual event of it. I can wait for the...
Don't hurry it along.
I'm not going to hurry summer away
thanks.
For it, but I can't wait for the idea of the event. I'm enamored with the idea of it.
So are all these... Are all schools out now, pretty much? I mean, I know Jersey goes later.
No, everybody's out.
Everybody's out, right?
Yes.
I think so.
I saw graduations taking place this week. That's why I'm kind of like a little inquisitive. So
I can tell you that Spring Ford's out. That's
I
know.
Mine's been out 2 weeks.
Yeah, I think my sister got done. 2 weeks ago. So checks out.
Kev, I was looking at some mock drafts in the break.
Yeah.
I mean, most of them have Bronny going at 55 to the Lakers via Clippers pick, which would bode well for the second day.
Yeah.
Because you're 3 from the bottom of the whole day.
Zach Edey, I know, has been
Hey, he's moved up.
Could Zach Edey be the Sixers pick?
The one that I just saw had him going one spot before him, before the Sixers pick.
In the first round or second round?
First. I mean, he started out, apparently, and he's gone to every team that wants to see him, he's gone to their building. That's one of the things. Bronny has only gone to the Lakers and the Suns. And people who have expressed interest, any other team. But the article said, having trouble getting him in their building.
Why? You're a marginal NBA player if it wasn't for your last name.
Yeah, exactly. Or your first name.
Or that too.
There's not too many Bronnies in the world. You know any other Bronnies?
I do not. No.
Me neither.
I don't know many LeBrons.
Good point.
Imagine there's more now.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah, good point.
It's funny because you bring this up. And by the way, I should point out our buddy Jim Salisbury just tweeted out a thing about the number situation that we were talking about. David Dahl, Cole Hamels, number 35, is not being retired during tomorrow night's ceremony. David Dahl stepped up on his own and asked to switch from 35 out of respect for Hamels. They are friends and spent time rehabbing injuries with San Diego last year. That's why he decided to move it. So
that's really cool.
That is pretty cool.
Yeah.
I always remember that, like if somebody was traded to the Sixers and somebody had a number that they wanted to wear that wasn't retired, obviously.
Little cash.
Little exchange there. Pay up, buddy.
Just a little.
Yeah.
Just a little cash.
Yeah.
Congratulations, by the way, to Liz Campbell. She is the winner of the FanFest tickets. We will have more ticket giveaways here as we go along. 31, I guess, the Robert Person era number he felt more comfortable with at this point, Mark Leiter.
Oh, that's a good one.
So I went and also looked, Ray, to see the Celtics have the 30th pick, which we kind of dangled out there. They could take Bronny.
Just for fun.
Just for fun. And then it becomes a bargaining chip for LeBron.
Oh, I had someone call me fully invested in the idea of you take Bronny just for the chaos, just for the situation of not necessarily having him here, but that it would have to be traded to someone else.
Bill Simmons, actually, on his podcast today, Bill Simmons apparently went in on that the Celtics Bronny basically to hold him hostage.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, that becomes a cachet. I mean, can you imagine? And you can sit at the end of the bench or go play on our G League team. That's what you can do. And And, okay, you'll probably get a ring.
Jaden Springer probably would not be happy about that.
No, that would bump him.
That would bump. He would lose the brawny face-off for spot 14 on the roster at this point.
So I'm trying to go in my head of executives in the NBA that would be willing to pull the
take Bronny
the hostage draft.
Oh, Danny Ainge.
That's the first name that came to my head as well.
And obviously in Utah, I don't think he would do it because he has enough holes to fill.
Right. But it'd be funny.
But Boston could do it.
Boston could do it. Dallas, I think, would do it.
Oh, Cuban be all in.
Cuban would be all in on it. That Phoenix owner is crazy enough; he would do it.
But that's to that's to the James family liking, because that's a possibility for him that he's
except that with their cap number, he would have to come in for like veteran minimum or veteran.
Meaning LeBron would.
Yeah,
he's got plenty of money. He doesn't care.
Yeah, Rich Paul shot that down yesterday, big time. Like that ain't happening. Rich Paul was on a. By the way, I saw the Rich Paul 60 Minutes thing a couple weeks ago. It was the first time I had seen it. It was a re-air. It's a fascinating story. Did you see that? Rich Paul was on 60 Minutes.
I didn't see it. No.
It's actually really good. If you get a shot to look at it on YouTube, it talks about.
I always record. If it was in the last 2 weeks.
2 or 3 weeks, yeah.
Because I record them. I'd have some catching up to do, but.
Because I kind of did that. Like, all right, Rich. It obviously talked about his background and
relationship to LeBron,
relationship with LeBron, relationship with Adele.
Oh yeah.
Forgot about that. That relationship coming to be like right during all the Simmons chaos.
Were they sitting at a finals game side by side?
Yes, they were.
Yeah.
Hello from the outside.
Give me one more Adele reference.
Rolling in the Deep.
All right, there you go.
Dude, come on. Give me a little credit.
I didn't know where your Adele knowledge was.
I mean, am I going to spend money to go to Vegas to go see her? No, but she's no Springsteen.
If it brought LeBron here.
If it brought LeBron here, no, I wouldn't. Still.
Are you kidding me?
No.
I'm biking to Vegas to get to every show if it meant LeBron was here.
Exactly.
The problem is you would have to bike to Vegas in July.
That's how bad I'd want LeBron here. Load up on the water, Kevin. I'll call in every hour on the hour during this bike ride.
We got to get a sponsor for that one.
Yeah.
All right, so if LeBron... Hold on. So let's put it on the record.
Oh, man.
If LeBron comes to the Sixers, you will bike to Vegas and spend for Adele tickets.
Yeah, all right. Sounds good to me.
My brother-in-law biked across the country.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to take me forever. You guys probably won't see me until Christmas, but LeBron, we might be talking about LeBron's first couple months as a Sixer by the time I get back. But I would do it.
You could report in from the road, from the journey.
Of course.
Yeah.
We'll probably want to get a hotel chain in on this one, too, just so I have somewhere to stay. I can't afford to put up.
You're Mr. I'm going to Chicago. I'm going to Aruba. I'm going to...
Let's be clear. I got a lot of help on the whole Aruba thing.
You went to Baltimore?
I had somewhere to stay there. I don't have a place to stay in every town where I'm just going to...
Did you save up for Aruba? Was that your...
That is some familial help on that one.
A familia help.
It's the whole family going.
Oh.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
The old family trip.
The old family trip.
The old family trip.
Kev, only because Simmons' name came up.
Why not?
I said to myself, I got to show this to you.
Any
and
workout
Ray.
videos yet?
No, he was in front of me. I hope I was at a stoplight when I took it, but of his Ferrari.
The nice yellow,
good.
Yeah, it showed that,
I don't know what's better today, the Ben Simmons orange Ferrari or my ring.
I go with the ring, the Ferrari, and the bursting in to bring back tougher memories than Blue Coats win a ring. So I definitely go with the ring.
Hold on.
What were the chances?
Hold your ring up to the screen.
To what screen?
To the screen. That's the closest Ben's ever going to get to a ring in his life.
Good one there, Kev.
610-632. Why not? Might as well. Yeah. At this point.
We're having fun.
We're having fun. A little punchy here after 4. How does Bob do it for 4 hours?
Deal with me?
Yeah.
I don't know. They've asked him a lot of times, how are you dealing with him for 4 hours a day, 5 days
shrugs
a week?
And,
It happens. We get through it.
Yeah, it does. When we come back, we'll wrap things up before we send you the best show ever. We'll take a final look at the poll results. We'll kind of just, we'll have fun. We'll have fun. We've had fun all 4 hours, so why not have a final segment that's fun? I'm Kevin Cooney. That's D. Lynham. That's Ray Dunn. Here on the Midday Show on 97.5 The Fanatic. Final segment here on the Midday Show. Bob is back tomorrow with Bill Colarulo, who will be on with Tyrone. Yep, today on Best Show Ever, and then Bill has Birds Insider with Andrew DeCecco tonight at 6:00. So make sure you stay tuned in the entire day. Final Twitter poll results there, Ray. What do we got?
All right, our Twitter poll question today: if you could only protect one prospect in a trade, which would you choose? Justin Crawford getting 11.7% of the vote. Trade them all getting 14.9% of the vote. Andrew Painter at 34.9%. And Aiden Miller is the player that everyone wants to protect the most, 38.5%.
So he actually went up over the course of our 4 hours.
Yeah, Aiden Miller got a lot of support. And Aiden Miller, it's going to be interesting.
20 years old, you can go see him right now.
Yeah, he's down at
Jersey Shore.
down at Lakewood, and enjoy a nice day down at the beach.
I've never been to that ballpark.
It's awesome.
Yeah, that's what
it's
people
pretty
say.
Cool. Honestly, the Phillies are lucky. There are 3 minor leagues in the area.
Distance, yeah.
Are awesome. Like Lehigh Valley's great. Reading, if you are into the old traditional ballparks, is awesome.
Love it up there.
And then Lakewood is really cool too. So, all they really
Lakewood is the only one I haven't been to.
Yeah. They had a lifeguard stand actually behind center field at one point, which was pretty cool. Just that because you were that close to
to the.
Yeah, it was a little sticky, but All right, so the Phillies are in that. The Phillies are in that stretch where they get the Diamondbacks tomorrow. Is that a big deal that they're playing Arizona? Like Arizona, who's by the way not been good.
So let's see. We have Apple for the first game, Roku for the second game,
Roku for the third game.
Third game. Sorry, my bad.
I think Saturday.
Right, it's Sunday.
Right, Saturday is just normal NBC Sports.
Yeah,
Philly
but I mean,
at 4 o'clock.
how do you expect people to tune in?
It's not the NFL. It's tough for people to follow it around when you have to dance around to everywhere, and people don't have Roku. I mean, it's one thing. A lot of people have Apple in some way, either for Ted Lasso or if you're an MLS fan, you have it or whatever. Roku's a whole different thing, and that's why I think now. Who
owns Roku? Like, is it part of a bigger conglomerate?
I think Roku. Now I know, like on my Samsung TV, I have Roku channel, like as part of like the smart channels thing. But how many people actually still go to that?
Let's see.
So, we're
going to find out pretty quickly.
I was just going to say, God bless when we're in here on Sunday, right? Because Dee and I are back here Sunday at noon. We will have all the people going, what channel are the Phillies on?
Yep.
You know it's going to happen.
Begun.
Poor Brendan.
My thoughts are with you.
Poor Brendan. Poor Brendan.
It's going to be brutal. What channel is the game on?
What channel is the game on?
It's one of the loneliest feelings in the world, answering that phone call and hey, it's on streaming. The Apple TV one was one I know that when I was doing a lot of evenings would be Apple TV. Well, what channel is it? It's
Apple TV.
How do I get to that? I'm going to try. I can't really coach you through here because we got hosts and I'm trying to work here. It becomes a very difficult conversation.
So you're rude with callers.
I try and help. As much as I can. But
dude, I'm too busy. Leave me alone.
Well, it's one of those things. You got 3 more lines going here. I'm trying to tell you where to go.
Yeah, 3 more people going, hi, what channel is this on?
That's the other thing. Oh, phone's ringing. All right. Oh, okay. Or, my other favorite one was when someone calls when they're doing a replay of the best show ever.
Oh, yeah. I get that plenty at night now.
It's one of my favorite things in the world. I got something I want to say to Tyrone. Okay. You got to call tomorrow 2 to 6. He's on my TV right now. I understand he's on your TV right now. I'm looking at the TV too, but right now I'm not looking at Tyrone in that studio. So You have to understand that's afternoon. 2 to 6 is the time to call.
It's a replay.
Yes.
It should say that in the corner, is my point. But because when it airs, it says live.
Yeah.
It stays like that.
Oh, I've had people who...
Brendan's not helping the people tomorrow or on the weekend.
Why?
He says it's a lost cause.
Now, see, I would never tell someone they're a lost cause on that one.
Whoa.
I'm just saying. That's what he said.
97.5 cares. You know?
Exactly.
All right, so what is you're going golfing?
Today, yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
because then I have a match tomorrow.
Okay. Ray, are you going to like some bar, a little
I got softball tonight. Yeah, you got to stay active, got to keep myself moving. Yeah.
Oh, is that the reason for the T-shirt, the winning attitude?
No, this was just, this is the reason for the full outfit because I'm going to get a haircut and I go to the same person for my entire life. So I'm going back home to do that. I got to drive back to the city. So I just wanted myself already in kind of softball-ish. But I figured coming in here in the softball shirt was a little much. A lot of people here do talk about their softball accomplishments. I'm not one that's going to do it. So
where do those games take place? If you said it's in the city,
Navy Yard.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, nice. It's a good time down there.
Somebody just said Roku has a market cap of $8 billion on the YouTube chat. Roku's worth $8 billion.
Well, I just looked at it. It's trading at $53.06 per share.
Baseball got $10 million for the package. It's just typical of what baseball would. They would sell to anybody. They would literally, baseball would, if they could get, an extra $40 out of you, Rob Manfred would do it. It's unreal.
11:30 in the morning.
There is a video that shows you how to set up your Roku.
Really?
Yeah. So I guess I actually could just
Well,
buy
we're
a
here.
device.
We're here. So we're going to have to figure it
yeah.
out here. Our TVs don't have it.
Good luck.
Yeah. Thanks, Ray.
No problem. I'll be here to check in on the results on Sunday.
Yeah. By then, the game will be over.
Right. Yeah, that's why I'm here to check in with the results with you guys.
Thank you on that one.
Yeah. That's the 11:30 start.
That's the 11:30 start.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll be fun.
It's
we'll have a good time.
We'll be in the dark.
Literally. We'll be talking a lot of Eagles and Sixers at that point because we won't be seeing what's going on with the Phillies at that point. My thanks to all of you for joining us. Dee, have a great
afternoon.
To
you as
I will
well.
see you on Sunday. Ray, I will see you on Sunday, I guess before vacation, correct?
Yes, that's it for me. Sunday, and then
I'm out.
Yeah. Monday morning, I'm gone.
Coming up next, best show ever. Tyrone and Bill Colarulo along with Silvana. Thanks to Brendan in the back for helping us out. Thanks to all of you for listening. Bob will be back tomorrow here on 97.5 The Fanatic.